Hey guys, welcome to this course on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. So let's get started. So first of all, what is Jenkins? So Jenkins is an open source automation server written in Java. One can also say that Jenkins is a CI server where CI stands for continuous integration. And what is CI? We are going to see in details in the next slide. Now what Jenkins does. So Jenkins is used to detect the changes, whatever you commit using your version control system such as Subversion or Git or any other versioning system, and it performs some tasks on your code when it detects some changes in your code. So what tasks Jenkins can perform repeatedly? So Jenkins can perform, for example, if you have a code, it can build your code, it can test your code, it can even deploy your code, and even package or integrate your code whenever it detects some changes in your version control system or in your code. Now let's talk about some of the history behind the Jenkins. So Jenkins is a fork of original Hudson project, and it was under development since 2005. Now Hudson was the first release by a developer called Kosuke Kawaguchi of Sun Microsystem, and in 2010 Oracle bought Sun Microsystem. Due to this, some naming dispute occurred and Hudson was renamed to Jenkins. Now Oracle continued the development of Hudson as a branch of the original, and the Jenkins became the fork of Hudson. Now you can find more about Jenkins on jenkins-ci.org, but nowadays this website is transferred to a website called jenkins.io. So if you enter this URL on your browser, it will be redirected to jenkins.io. Now, before diving deep into Jenkins, we need to understand what is CI or continuous integration. So the basic concept of CI is a CI server continuously integrates newly checked in code into a build that we have already discussed. So Jenkins detects those changes using the version controlled system and performs some tasks on them. For example, building or testing or integration test or deploying those builds and so on. So you can see in the second step of continuous integration, I have written it runs unit tests and rejects the build if they fail. So a continuous integration system detects and runs the unit test, and it detects the failure, and if a failure occurs during the unit test or integration tests or any kind of test, it's going to reject that build and it's going to send the information to the developer or the maintainer of that code. Now for example, your unit test or whatever test or whatever build you are making is successful, then a continuous integration system is going to deploy your build to other servers. So continuous integration is also referred as build automation. So you may ask, what does this really mean? So at regular interval or regular frequency, ideally every commit you do in your version control system, your continuous integration system is going to integrate your system. That means all changes up until that point are combined into that project. It's going to build your code, so the code is compiled into a executable or a package. It's going to test your code, so you can automate your test and you can write your test suite, which is going to be run by your continuous integration system. And if all the previous steps are successful, your code will be deployed. That means it will be loaded onto a system where the developer can interact with it. So now let's talk about some of the benefits or the advantages of a CI system. So CI system enables us in immediate bug detection. So bug will be detected if some test fails or your build fails, and then the CI system is going to deploy your code if your test and your build passes. So at any given point you have a deployable system. Now next is you have the record of evaluation of your project. So for example, how many times your build succeeded or your test succeeded, and at what change or at what point your build failed or your unit test failed. It's going to get the record of everything, so you can see it later, and you can just view the quality of your code. Now the next benefit of a CI system is it's going to detect the system development problem at very early stage. So because you can run Jenkins repeatedly, for example, a developer checks in his code using Git or Subversion or any versioning system, it's going to run every job which you have made. For example, for building your code or your integration test or your unit test or any other test is going to run immediately, and if anything fails, you can even get the report of that using an email, or it will generate some kind of message to your server, so everybody will know some error has occurred during the build or the test of your code, so everybody will be able to take the action at the earliest. As a result, you have the reduced risks of cost, schedule and budget. Okay, so when you detect the problem earlier, obviously you are going to save on cost and your time and your budget. And the last but not the least is the measurable and visible code quality. So using a Jenkins or any other CI system, you will be able to visibly see the code quality of your project. Now let's see, using some picture, how does it all happens. So you can see here are your developers which are going to develop some code, and they are going to commit their code into the code repositories such as Mercurial or Git or Subversion, and this commit of changes of code will be automatically detected by Jenkins. So whenever a developer commits his code, is going to automatically be detected by the Jenkins. And what Jenkins will do is going to run some test, whatever test you have created to run on Jenkins. For example, the unit test or integration test or system test or any other kind of test is going to just run those tests and give you the test results. And if the build is successful and tests are successful, it's going to just transfer your executable file into some artifact repository, or it's going to deploy your software onto some other server, for example on some cloud server where you want to use it. So here the code is committed, and then at a regular interval the Jenkins tests the repository, and then it runs the test on those codes using your repository, and if everything is successful, it's going to create the executable, and then it will save those executable in your artifact repository, or it will deploy your code onto some other server. So now let's talk about why Jenkins and not any other CI system. There are many other CI systems available, but why Jenkins? So in Jenkins, you can create plugins. So these plugins are very modular, and Jenkins plugin extensively makes Jenkins to adopt to many systems. So you can install Jenkins on many systems, for example Linux or Windows or Mac operating system or any other system, and its plugin system is really modular, so you can install whatever plugin you want to support that kind of build or that kind of functionality, whatever you want. Now the second is Jenkins provide everything for a robust continuous integration system, which helps a lot for team that practice agile. Now agile is software development techniques which are used widely across many companies and many teams in order to coordinate their work. So this is completely another topic, agile methodology, but if you are a software developer, you may know what agile is. The next is Jenkins continuously provides access to the working copies of the software which supports the agile principle once again. So if your team is working in an agile environment such as sprints, or you have scrums, or any other agile methodology, then Jenkins will fit perfectly in your system. The next is Jenkins is released under MIT license. So it's an open source CI system. That means you can use it freely. The next is there is a large support of community and thorough documentation. So whatever you need to know about Jenkins, most probably it will be answered by the support community, or you will find it in the documentation of Jenkins. And the last point is, as I already stated, that it's really easy to write a plugin in Jenkins. And if you write a plugin in Jenkins, it can be used by other community members or everyone who will use Jenkins. That makes Jenkins really powerful in a way that community members creates those plugins and they can be used by everybody who wants to use them. And the last point I want to add here is, if anything goes wrong, you can fix it. So it's so modular, Jenkins is so modular that you can fix your problem by yourself. So what Jenkins can do? Jenkins can generate reports. It can integrate with many different version control systems. It can push to various artifact repositories. It can deploy directly to your production or test environment. It will notify the stakeholders of the build status using email or any other messaging system, and many more. So this is the brief introduction about Jenkins, and in the next video we will see how we can install Jenkins on different operating systems, and then we will go further. Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can download and install Jenkins on your Windows 10 operating system. So first of all, let's talk about the prerequisite of installing Jenkins on your Windows 10 operating system. In order to install Jenkins, you need to have Java 7 or above. So make sure you have the latest version of Java, and then once you have Java installed, then you are ready to install Jenkins. So I have already installed Java 10 on my Windows 10 operating system, and I'm assuming that you also have the latest version of Java. So once you have Java installed, just open your favorite browser and search for Jenkins, and the first link which will appear here will be from jenkins.io. So we are going to click on this link. So once you are on this Jenkins website, you just need to click on the downloads button here. And on the downloads page, you just need to scroll down a little. Don't click on downloads yet. We are going to see which are the versions which are available for Jenkins. So when you scroll down, you will see different versions of Jenkins. One is the LTS version and other is the weekly release. So we are going to use the long-term support version, and the latest version is 2.107.2. And in here we are going to choose the Windows option. So here you will see the Windows option. Now one thing you need to keep in mind is when you are installing Jenkins on Windows, it is good to run Jenkins as a service so it starts automatically without requiring any user to log in. The easiest way to install Jenkins on Windows is by using Windows installer. But if you are an advanced user, you can also download the Jenkins WAR file, and then you can deploy it on servlets like Glassfish or Tomcat. But for our purpose, we want to just learn, so we are going to use the Windows installer. So I'm going to just click on Windows here. And once you click on Windows option, you will see this message which says, thank you for downloading Windows Stable Installer. And you can see here it will download it as a zip file. So I'm going to wait for the download to complete. So now the download of this zip file is completed. So I'm going to minimize the browser and I'm going to go to my downloads folder where I have downloaded this zip file. And now I'm going to just open this zip file. And in here, I will be able to see this Windows installer package. So I'm going to double click on this Windows installer package, which is going to start the Jenkins installation. So I'm going to minimize this folder explorer. And you can see Jenkins 2.107.2 setup window. So on this welcome window, we don't need to do anything. We just need to click next here. And this will be the default location where Jenkins will be installed. So if you don't have the good reason to change it, just leave it as default and then click next and then click install and then just click yes, which is going to start installing Jenkins. And in the end, you will see this message which says completed the Jenkins setup wizard. Click finish button to exit the setup wizard. So I'm going to click finish. So now Jenkins is installed on your system and it will ask in which browser you want to open it. So I'm going to click on Google Chrome. And you can see on port localhost 8080, you will be able to see this kind of window. So if this window doesn't open automatically, you just need to go to your favorite browser and then just write localhost :8080. So let's copy this here and just paste it here. So http://localhost :8080. The default port is port 8080 and I'm going to just click on this and then you will be able to see this kind of window. Okay, so if it doesn't open automatically, you can just browse on localhost port 8080. Now, first thing, in order to unlock Jenkins, you just need to provide the initial admin password. And this password is set in this directory. So just copy this path here. And then I'm going to open my folder explorer and I'm going to paste this path. And you will see this file here, which is initial admin password. So you just need to open this initial admin password here. So I'm going to just open it into my editor. So I'm going to open it in the notepad and you just need to copy this initial password and then I'm going to minimize this window and I'm going to provide my initial password and then click continue. Now in the next step, you will see customize Jenkins window. So there are two options here, install suggested plugins and second option is select plugins to install. So I'm going to choose this option which says install suggested plugins, which is going to install the most suggested plugins in your Jenkins installation. So you can just click on install suggested plugins and this is going to start installing the suggested plugins. So you can see there is a plugin for Git here. There is a plugin for Subversion, plugin for GitHub, LDAP, email extension, and some other plugins. So right now I don't have Git installed on my system or LDAP installed on my system or even SSH slave. So if it shows some error, it's okay. So once all the plugins are successfully installed on your Jenkins, you will be automatically redirected to this page which says create first admin user. So you just need to create the admin user credentials here. So username, let's say I'm going to take it as admin here and password, whatever you want. I'm going to give some password and then I'm going to confirm my password. And here I'm going to give the full name, for example, admin once again. And the next thing is email. So I'm going to provide the email. And after providing each and every credential, you just need to click save and finish, which is going to say Jenkins is ready, start using Jenkins. So I'm going to just click on this button which says start using Jenkins. and you will see this kind of window. So if you see this kind of window, that means Jenkins is fully installed on your system and Jenkins is running on your system. Now if you want to see more about Jenkins, you will be able to see it inside your C directory, and inside the C directory you just need to go to program files x86 and there will be a Jenkins folder here, and inside Jenkins folder all the plugins are there. So you can see the plugins folder, and all the plugins are here, and all the files related to Jenkins will be stored here. So if you want to dig deeper into Jenkins, you can always come to this directory and see what's happening. So this is how you can install Jenkins on your Windows 10 operating system. Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can download and install Jenkins on your Ubuntu or Debian based operating system. So in order to install Jenkins, you need to have Java installed on your system, but we will look into the documentation which version of Java is required to install Jenkins from the Jenkins website. So first of all, just open your favorite browser and search for Jenkins. And the first link which will appear here will be from jenkins.io. So I'm going to click on this link. And once this website is open, there is a documentation given to install Jenkins on Linux or Debian based operating system. And this documentation you can find in the documentation section. So I'm going to click on the documentation section and then just click on Use Jenkins. Now when I scroll down a little, under user handbook section, I can see this section which says installing Jenkins. So I'm going to click on this link, and then you will see this section which is installing Jenkins. I'm going to put this link in the description so you can directly click on this link and come to this page. Now let's see the prerequisite of installing Jenkins. So here these are some of the system requirements, and then you can see software requirement, and here you can see Java 8, either Java runtime environment or Java development kit is fine, right? So first of all we are going to install Java 8, and then we are going to install the Jenkins on our Ubuntu operating system. Now when I scroll down a little, you will see the installation process for different operating systems, for example macOS or Windows operating system. And when you scroll a little bit more, you will see the section for Linux Debian/Ubuntu, and these are the steps you need to follow in order to install Jenkins. So we will execute these steps after we install the Java version. So I'm going to just minimize this browser and I'm going to open the terminal. Just press Ctrl+Alt+T in order to open the terminal, or you can open the terminal from here also. So once the terminal is open, to install Java 8, I'm going to use the PPA, and these command also I'm going to give you in the description. So the first command is this: sudo add -apt -repository ppa web up 8 team/java, and then press enter, and then give your Ubuntu's password and then press enter, and once again press enter. And once this command is finished, I'm going to paste the second command in order to install Java 8. So this is the second command, which is sudo apt install oracle-java 8 -installer. Press enter in order to install Java 8. So now we can see this message here which says Oracle JDK 8 is installed on my system, and then there is an important message here, and this message says to set Oracle Java JDK 8 as default, we need to install Oracle -java 8 -set -default. So we are going to run this command which is given in the example, which is this one. So I'm going to just copy this command in order to set Java 8 as the default Java version. So just copy this command, which is sudo apt install Oracle -java 8 -set -default, and paste onto your terminal, and then press enter, and then press Y, And once this command is finished, we are going to check the Java version. So I'm going to just write Java version and then press enter. And this command gives us some problem. I can see could not create Java virtual machine. So instead of giving double hyphen, I think the command is Java version. And you can see this version, Java version 1.8.0 point something. So if you see this version here, that Java 8 is installed on your system. So let's clear the terminal. So I'm going to clear the terminal. So now let's start with the installation of Jenkins. So when you go to this page and you will see these commands, somehow these commands did not work for me. So I found on the internet some commands which worked for me. So the first command is this one. So I'm not going to follow and copy and paste these commands because these did not work for me. I'm going to copy these commands, and these commands I'm going to give you in the description also. So we are going to give the first command and then press enter and then give your Ubuntu's password, and then the second command, which is this one, just copy and paste and then press enter. And now the third command, which is to update. And now the fourth command, which is to actually install Jenkins, which is sudo apt get install Jenkins, and then press Y. And you can see this command is also finished. So in order to check whether Jenkins is really installed or not, you can open your browser. And here Jenkins generally starts on localhost port 8080. So I'm going to just write localhost 8080 and then press enter. And you will be able to see this kind of page which says unlock Jenkins. So here we are going to provide the initial password which is saved at this location. So we are going to go to this location. But first of all, I want to show you some more command in order to just manage Jenkins on Ubuntu. So because Jenkins is installed as a service on your Ubuntu operating system, you can always use systemctl status, for example, if you want to check the status Jenkins. Okay. So with this systemctl command, you can start Jenkins or stop Jenkins or see the status of Jenkins or restart Jenkins also. So when I give this command sudo systemctl status Jenkins and then press enter, it's going to give me the status of Jenkins, and right now it's active and running. And for example, I want to restart or start my Jenkins once again. Instead of status, I can just write start. If I want to restart it, I can just write here restart, and it's going to be restarted. So all these commands are for future references. If you want to restart or stop, in order to stop, you can just write stop here. So just write stop and Jenkins will be stopped. So these commands are for the future reference whenever you want to just manage your Jenkins or stop or restart Jenkins. Now let's finish the installation process. So you can see on this page it says unlock Jenkins, and you will see this path here, and on this path the initial admin password is saved. So I'm going to just copy this path, whole path, and then go to the terminal once again. And then I'm going to let me clear the terminal first of all, and here I'm going to just write cat and then just paste this part which I have copied from here, which is this one. And in this file your initial password is there, and cat is used to just output the content of the file. So I'm going to just do this. It says permission denied, so I will do this with the sudo in front of it. So I'm going to just write sudo and then press enter, and you can see this password here. So you can just directly copy this password, right click copy, or what you can do is you can also use the gedit command. So instead of cat, you can just write gedit. This is the graphical editor, and here you will find the same password, and then you can just copy, and then you just need to paste this password here. So once you have pasted your initial password, I'm going to just click continue, and I don't want to save anything. And in here I can see two options for customizing Jenkins. One is install suggested plugins and the other is select plugins to install. So I'm going to choose the first option, which says install suggested plugins. So I'm going to click on this option, which is going to start installing the suggested plugins here. So you can see different kind of plugins will be installed for Git, for example, Subversion or LDAP or Gradle and other plugins. Now keep in mind, I don't have Git or Subversion or LDAP yet installed on my Ubuntu operating system. So it's okay if you don't have these installed previously. So we will just install the plugins, and whenever we want some software, for example Git or Subversion or LDAP or anything, we will install it later. So I'm going to wait for this plugin installation to complete. So now the installation of all the plugins are complete, and this page is redirected to this window where it says create first admin user. So we are going to create our first admin user. So you can provide any name. I'm going to just provide username admin here. You can provide any name, and then give some password which you can remember and which is strong. So I'm going to give some password here, and I'm going to repeat my password, and now I'm going to give the name, for example admin once again, and now I'm going to give the email ID, email address, and then I'm going to just press this button which says save and continue, and you can see this message which says instance configuration Jenkins URL, which is this one, which is localhost 8080, which is okay for us for now. So just leave it as default and then press save and finish, and you will be able to see this message which says Jenkins is ready, your Jenkins setup is complete, start using Jenkins. So we are going to just press this button which says start using Jenkins. And now if you see this kind of interface, you know that Jenkins is working fine on your system. So this is how you can install Jenkins on your Ubuntu operating system. Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can download and install Jenkins on your Mac operating system. Now in order to install Jenkins, we need to have Java installed on our system, and we will see which version of Java we require to install Jenkins on Jenkins page. So let's get started and let's see how we can do it. So first of all, open your favorite browser and search for Jenkins. And in here, the first link which will appear here will be from jenkins.io. So I'm going to click on this link. And once you are in this website, you just need to go to the downloads button. So I'm going to click on the downloads button, and then you will come to this downloads web page, right? Let's see the requirements of installing Jenkins on our Mac. So in order to see that, you just need to go to the documentation page. I'm going to open this documentation page on the next tab. So documentation page, and then use Jenkins. So just click on documentation and then click use Jenkins. And in here, we will just scroll down a little, and we will just find the section which says installing Jenkins, and I'm going to click on this. And once you click on this, we will see the prerequisite of installing Jenkins. So here you can see the system requirements, and under this you can see the software requirements, and the software requirement says Java 8, either Java runtime environment or Java development kit is fine. So we need to have Java 8 installed in order to use Jenkins on our Mac. So I already have Java installed on my system. If you don't, you just need to install it. Now once you have done this, we are ready to install Jenkins. So just come to the downloads page and then just scroll down a little. Don't click on the download button. We will just go down, and we will search for the section which says Mac OS X. Now you can see here there are two categories here. One is the weekly build. So this is the most latest build you can get for Jenkins. And other is the LTS version, which is long-term support version. So we are going to download and install the LTS version. So just go under the LTS section and then choose the Mac OS X. So just click on this Mac OS X, and this is going to start the download of this Jenkins 2.107, which is the latest LTS version .pkg file. So I'm going to wait for this download to complete. So now the download of this .pkg file is complete. So I'm going to double click on this pkg file, and now I'm going to minimize the browser, and you can see here the installer for Jenkins has been started. So here I just need to click continue, and the next step is to agree with the license terms and conditions. So I'm going to just click on continue button, and I'm going to just click agree. And on this next step, you will be asked, how do you want to install the software? Install for all users of this computer. So this is okay for me. So I'm going to just click on continue. And in the next step, it says this will take around 74 megabyte of space on your computer, and then click install to perform the standard installation. So I'm going to just click on install button, and here I just need to give my max password. So I'm going to give my max password, and I'm going to just say install software. And this is going to start the installation process for Jenkins. So I'm going to wait for the installation to complete. And once the installation is complete, you will see directly on your default browser on the localhost port 8080, this Jenkins page will start automatically, and it will say please wait while Jenkins is getting ready to work. Okay, so it will start automatically on localhost port 8080. So if it doesn't start, you can just write on your favorite browser localhost port 8080, and you will see this kind of Jenkins page. And the first step is to unlock Jenkins. So the initial admin password for Jenkins, which is required here, is saved on this location. So you need to just copy this initial admin password from this location, and then you just need to paste it here in the admin's password. So I'm going to just copy this path, and once you have copied this path, just open your terminal, and in here you just need to write sudo and then cat and then just paste this path and then press enter and give your max password here and then press enter, and then you will see this password here. So you just need to copy this password, which is this one. In your case it can be different, and then just paste this password here and then press continue. So just paste the password you have copied and then press continue. Now on the next step, you will be asked to customize Jenkins. So there are two ways of doing this. You can click this button which says install suggested plugins, or you can click this button which says select plugins to install. So we will choose the first option which says install suggested plugins, and I'm going to click on this button, which is going to start installing the suggested plugins. These plugins are, for example, Git or LDAP or Subversion plugin or Gradle plugin. So these are some of the suggested plugins which are suggested by Jenkins to us. So I will just wait for the plugins to install. It will take some time to install each and every plugin. So I'm going to wait for that. And once each and every plugin is installed, we will be redirected to create our admin credentials. So I'm going to wait for that. So now all the plugins are installed on the Jenkins, and I will be redirected to this create first admin user page automatically. So after installing all the plugins, you will see this page which says create first admin user. So I'm going to create the first admin user, and I'm going to just say username is admin. You can give any name here, username here, and then give any password here, and then repeat the password, and then give your full name. I'm going to just write admin once again, but you are free to give any name which you like. And here you just need to give your email, whatever you like. So I have given my email address, And then I'm going to just press save and finish, which is going to save this admin user and password. And I'm going to just say never for this website. And you will see this message which says Jenkins is ready, start using Jenkins. So I'm going to just click on this button which says start using Jenkins. And you will see the Jenkins interface here, right? So here you can create your first job by clicking this button, and then you can install other plugins to manage the users, which we will cover in the later videos. So I'm going to click on this link which says create new jobs. And from here you can create different kind of jobs. For example, freestyle project or pipeline or multi-configuration project or any other kind of project. So this we are going to see later. So this is how you can download and install Jenkins on your Mac operating system.
Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In the last few videos, we have seen how to install Jenkins on variety of operating systems like Windows, Mac OS, and Linux operating system. Now moving forward, I'm going to use my Ubuntu operating system in order to demonstrate Jenkins functionalities, because most commonly and most frequently Jenkins is used on a Linux operating system. But having said that, if you are running Jenkins on Windows or Mac operating system, you can also follow along with this series, because most of the time we will be working with this Jenkins UI on a browser, so it doesn't matter on which operating system I'm working on. Now, if you want to practice Jenkins on a Linux machine, it's also easy if you have Windows or Mac operating system. What you can do is you can install VirtualBox or VMware Player, which are the software using which you can install Linux or any other operating system virtually on your Mac or your Windows operating system. I have already made some videos on how you can install Ubuntu on VirtualBox and VMware Player. So if you want to use Ubuntu or any other Linux system virtually on Windows, then you can install VirtualBox or VMware Player and install Linux and then install Jenkins on it, and you can follow along with this series. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create your first Jenkins job. So let's create our first Jenkins job. So what I'm going to do in this Jenkins job is I have a Java program on my operating system which I want to build and run using Jenkins. And I'm going to show you how you can do it using your first Jenkins job. So to create a Jenkins job, you can either click on this link which says create new jobs, or you can click on this option which says new item. So I'm going to click on this option which says create new job, and then you will see here an interface which says enter an item name. So I'm going to give my Jenkins job name as hello world here. Okay, now you will be able to see few options under this name. So there is a freestyle project, pipeline, multi-configuration project, folder, and other options. So to start with, we are going to start with the freestyle project. So just choose the freestyle project and then click OK. And once your job is created, you will be able to see this kind of a window here. So first we need to configure our Jenkins job. So the first thing here is the general tab, and here you can provide a simple description about your job. So what this job is going to do is going to build and run Java program, let's say. So here you can provide a simple description about your project, and also you can preview your description here. So it will be shown like this on your job window. We can configure it and change this thing in the future so that we will be able to use the HTML tags also in the description. And now let's move to the next section. So under the description, you will be able to see discard old builds when you build your Jenkins job, or GitHub Project, or this project is parameterized. For now, we will not be using any of these options. So just leave everything as unchecked, and we will move to the next section, which is source code management. Now, by default, you will see three options here. One is none, second is Git, and third is Subversion. So for now, we will choose the none option because we will not be using any source control management system for this video. But in future, we will be using Git or Subversion in order to pull the source code from the GitHub, for example, and then how to build or run the test on it. So just choose the none option here, and then we will move to the build triggers. You can also click on this option, which will just lead you to this category. Now here you will see few options. First option is trigger builds remotely. We will see this in the next video. Build after other projects are built. This also we are going to see in the next video. The third option is build periodically. So we are going to choose this option for this video. And the next option is GitHub hook trigger for Git SCM polling and poll SCM, which is for the source code management system. So these options we are going to see in the future when I'm going to show you how you can configure Git and other options into your Jenkins. Now by the name you can just guess that this option is going to build or run your test periodically. But how we can configure our Jenkins to run periodically? So for the help, you can just click on this question mark here, and then you will be able to see all the options which you can use here. So you can see this field follows the syntax of cron, right? So for example, when I write asterisk, 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 asterisk using spaces, so 5 asterisks, and between them I have used spaces. This means that I want to run my Jenkins job every minute. And when you do this, you will be able to see the hint here. So it says, do you really mean every minute? When you say asterisk, 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 and then it says perhaps you meant other option, right? So this, when you write 5 times asterisk with the spaces in between them, it means that you want to run your Jenkins job every minute. Now if you want to read more, you can read this whole document. So you can see in the help window here, this asterisk means these 5 options. So the first asterisk here means the minute, the second asterisk is for the hour, third is for the date of month, fourth is the month, and fifth is the day of the week, right? And you will be able to see also some examples here when you scroll down a little. So for example, if you want to run your Jenkins job every 15 minutes, you can use this option, for example. So I'm going to just copy this and paste it here. And now it says would last have run at Saturday at this time, and the next time will be 15 minutes after that. Okay, so if you have any confusion, you can read this document, and you can also use these examples in order to run your Jenkins job. So to start with, we are going to start building our Jenkins job every minute. So we are going to just give 5 asterisks here. Okay, and you can once again collapse this help window when you click on this question mark here once again. Now let's go to the build environment, which is this option. So the first option here is delete workspace before build starts. So we don't want to delete our workspace, so we will not check this option. Second is use secret text and file. We will see this option later. Third is abort the build if it's stuck. We can also use it later. Add timestamp on the console output. This we can use it, but I'm going to skip this for now because we want to build a very simple Jenkins job, and I'm going to skip also the last option. So I don't want to check any of the check boxes in the build environment. Now the next option is the build option, And here you can just choose which type of build you want to perform. So if you are on Windows, you can choose this option which says execute Windows batch command, which is the Windows terminal. If you are on Mac or Linux, you can choose this option which says execute shell, which is like executing command on your terminal. Now what we want to do in this execute shell. So let me show you what I want to build here. So in my home folder, I have a directory called Java sample, and in this directory I have a file called hello-world.java. And when I open this file, I have a simple hello world program written here which only prints hello world, right? So I want to build this program using Jenkins. So to build this program, I know that I can use javac command to compile my Java program. So I'm going to just copy the path where this file is located, which is in this location, which is home, my username, and this Jenkins sample project. And I'm going to just cd to this directory. So cd to the Java samples directory. Now here I can just run javac command in order to compile my hello world.java file, right? So this is going to compile my code, and to run my hello world program, I can just use Java and then hello world, which will be the executable file. So these three lines, what they are going to do, first of all, we are going to change directory to the Java samples directory, and then javac is going to compile my hello world.java file, and then Java hello world is going to run my program. So after doing this, you can just press on save, which is going to save your configuration. And if you want to change this configuration in future, you can always go to this option. So on the left hand side, you will be able to see this option which says configure, and when you press on this option, this configuration window will open once again where we have done our configuration, right? And when you click on this option which says Jenkins, you will come to the Jenkins home page. Now in here you will see first of all that there is no build here, and the status of this build is shown by this glowing sun, right? And our project name is, or our Jenkins job name is hello world. Now we have configured our Jenkins job to run every minute, right? So I'm going to click on this Jenkins job for now, and you can see even if we haven't started any Jenkins job, it has already started my Jenkins job, and the status here is a red ball, which means my job has failed. Okay, so we will see why my job has failed. So what I can do here is I can click on this job. You can just click on this and you will see this kind of window, and it says red here, which means failed. And when you want to see more about your build status, you can always go here which says console output, which is going to show what exactly happened. And now in the console output, you will be able to see what happened while running your job and why your job failed. So in here I can see this message. So while performing this step, which is javac hello world.java, it says this message. So error is error while writing hello world.class, permission denied. And this most probably happens when Jenkins doesn't have permission as a sudo user on a Linux machine. Most probably on Windows it will run fine, but on Linux we need to provide Jenkins the sudo privileges. So let's change the sudo privileges. So let's go to the hello world, and you can see already there are 3 builds because we have configured to run Jenkins every minute. So don't worry about this. What we are going to do is we are going to open the terminal. To open the terminal,
I can just go here and just search for the terminal or press Ctrl Alt T on my Ubuntu operating system. And first of all, what I need to do here is I need to open a file using a sudo privileges. So just write sudo and then /etc/sudo. Okay, so I'm going to give you this command in the description also. So just write sudo and then any tool which can open and edit your file. For me, I'm going to use gedit, or you can use nano or vi, or the best would be sudo vi sudo. Okay, so just write sudo gedit /etc/sudos and then press enter, and then give your Ubuntu's password or Debian's password. And then at the end, I'm going to just give a little space here. And then at the end, I just need to just give Jenkins user all the privileges, and I want to just give no password here so that it will not ask for the password. Okay, so just provide this line in your Ubuntu operating system in order to provide Jenkins the sudo command privileges, right? And then just save this and then close this. And now I'm going to go to the configure section once again, and in here, instead of writing javac something like this, I can always give a sudo to compile my program. So just write sudo in front of javac, and if you are on Windows, most probably you won't be needing this sudo command. So just skip this sudo command if you are on Windows, right? So I'm going to save this once again, and I'm going to build my program. So this button is going to build your program immediately. So it will not wait for the periodic trigger to build your Jenkins job. It will build your Jenkins job immediately. So you can see now our job shows a blue ball. This means the last build was successful. So let's go inside this build and then go to the console output, and you can see now it prints hello world, right? So once again, I'm going to go to my job, and you can see all the previous jobs have failed because we haven't provided Jenkins the sudo privileges. But now you can see this is the periodic build which has been started and it's successful. So in this section, you can see the times at which your build started and what was the status of build using the color of these balls. And when you go on the main page, when you click on Jenkins here, you will be able to see blue ball here, which means that last build was successful. And when you see this kind of rainy cloud here, and when you hover over this cloud, you will see the status of last 5 builds. So you can see it says build stability, 3 out of last 5 builds failed, right? And when I run this build few times once again, so when I want to just run this Jenkins job 5 times so that the last 5 builds will be successful. So you can see 4 out of 5 are now successful, and now you can see this icon has changed. So now the icon is like sunny and little bit cloudy, and it says 1 out of 5 build have failed, right? So it shows the last 5 build, and once your last 5 builds are successful or were successful, then you will see the whole sun here. So I'm going to refresh this page, and I'm going to go to the build here, and let's see if the build has been started, or we will start it manually using build now button, and it's going to start the build, and you can see the last 5 builds are successful now. And when I go to the Jenkins home page, you can see this bright sun here, and you can see the message here which says no recent build failed. So here this icon always shows the status of last 5 build, and this will show if your job is in progress or it's already is failing, or last build was successful if it's blue. Now in this table you will also see some other sections here. So this is the section where last build occurred. So for example, 8.9 seconds ago last build was occurred, and this was the build number 14, and last failure was 3 minutes ago, which was in build number 9. And by default this status doesn't refresh by itself. There is a small option here on the right hand side top, and you can click on this, which says enable auto refresh, and this is going to enable the auto refresh after few seconds, so you will be able to see the most refreshed status here. Okay, so you can see it refreshes after few seconds, and you can see the status. Last build, last success was 47 seconds ago, and last failure was 4 minutes 47 seconds ago. So this is how you can create your first Jenkins job. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In the last video we have seen how we can create our first Jenkins job. Now in this video we are going to see how we can configure our Jenkins job so that we can run our Jenkins job remotely, or how to chain the job execution. So let's see them one by one. So I have created this hello world Jenkins job in the last video. So I'm going to click on this job, and then I'm going to click on configure to change the configuration of this Jenkins job. Now when you reach in the configuration area, just click on build triggers, and what this build periodically trigger was doing is it was triggering our job in a periodic way depending on the cron scheme we have provided here. Now let's say we want to trigger our job remotely, then for that we can choose this option which says trigger build remotely. So I'm going to choose this checkbox, and I'm going to uncheck this build periodically checkbox, and here you can see this option which says authentication token, and you will also see this message which is a very helpful message which says use the following URL to trigger build remotely. So this will be the URL format you can use to trigger the build remotely. So I'm going to copy this URL and I'm going to paste it into the next tab. So here first option here is Jenkins URL. So here you can give the IP address of your server. For example, right now it's localhost, so I can just write localhost, and then the port is port 8080. Or if you have the IP address of this server, then you can write the IP address of this server. So for the localhost, instead of localhost, I can just write 127.0.0.1 or any other server IP address on which this server is working on. Now the next thing here is the token name in capital. So this token name is, I'm going to go to my Jenkins job configuration, and this token name is the token name which you will provide here. So for example, you can provide any complex password or anything here which will be your token name. So let's say I just write here 12345, and I'm going to save my configuration, and then I'm going to go to my next tab, and instead of the token name, I will just provide the token name which I have given for my Jenkins job, which is 12345, right? Now let's go to the Jenkins job once again, and I'm going to go to the home page of Jenkins. Here you can see the last success was in build 24, and when I click on this job, you will be able to see the build history. So the last job was 24. So let me go to the next tab, and I'm going to just give this URL and then press enter, which is going to execute my job. So I'm going to just give my username and password here once again, and then I'm going to just say remember me for this computer and then log in. And once you do this
and when you go to the Jenkins job and when you refresh it, you can see the last build was build 25, which is triggered using this URL. Okay, so once again I'm going to refresh it, and I'm going to just give this URL once again on the next tab and then press enter, and you will see in few seconds the new build occurs. So this is how you can trigger your build remotely. Now the next thing I want to show here is how we can chain our Jenkins job execution. So let's say we have a scenario that we have created this Jenkins job which was compiling the Java program and running it, right? So let's say we want to create few Jenkins job. One Jenkins job we want to create is to build our Java program. Second is to run our Java program. And in the third Jenkins job, let's say we want to just display the success message. So for that, we need to create two more Jenkins job. And first of all, we need to change the name of this Jenkins job, which is Hello World. So we will just rename it to Hello World build first of all, and then we will create Hello World run Jenkins job and Hello World success message Jenkins job, or Hello World message job. So let me show you how you can rename your Jenkins job. So you can see the option here, rename, which you can use to rename your Jenkins job. So instead of using Hello World Jenkins job name, I want to rename it as Hello World build. So I'm going to just write Hello World build, and then I'm going to just click on rename, which is going to rename my Jenkins job to Hello World build. Now let's create two more Jenkins job. One is Hello World run. So I'm going to just click on new item, and here I'm going to give the name of my Jenkins job. This will be the Hello World run. Now one more way of creating the Jenkins job, if the jobs are relatively similar, then you can copy the configuration of the old Jenkins job into the new Jenkins job using a copy feature. And when you scroll down here, you will see this option which says copy from, and here we can just write Hello World build, which is the Jenkins job from which we want to copy the configuration to Hello World run job. And when you click OK, all the configuration of Hello World build will be copied to this Jenkins job, which is Hello World run. And here we can just change the description. So this job is only going to run the Java program. So I'm going to just change it to run Java program. And when I go down a little, and in here I'm going to remove this line, because this line was compiling or building our Java program, and this we are already doing in the Hello World build Jenkins job, and this is Hello World run. So I'm going to just remove this, and I just want to run the executable file which was created by Hello World build, and this is the Hello World run Jenkins job. And now I'm going to click on build triggers, and instead of using this option which says trigger build remotely, we want to build our Jenkins job after the success of the previous job, which is Hello World build. So I'm going to just copy the name of the Jenkins job after which I want to execute this Hello World run Jenkins job. So after Hello World build, I want to run Hello World run Jenkins job. So just check this checkbox and just write the name of the Jenkins job, after which you want to execute your Hello World run Jenkins job. And then I'm going to just save my configuration, and I'm going to go to the home page, and you can see there are two jobs now. One is Hello World build and another is Hello World run. I need to change the configuration of Hello World build also, because now we just want to build our Java program using this Jenkins job and not run it. So I'm going to just remove the description here for run. I just want to build Java program, and in the build trigger, let's say we want to just trigger this build remotely, or we will just click on the build now button and execute the build. So I will not change this, And when you scroll down a little, from here I will just remove this Java hello world command, because this we are doing in hello world run Jenkins jobs. So I'm going to just remove this last command and save this. So now both the Jenkins job have been created. You can create one more Jenkins job and chain it in a similar fashion. So let's create one more Jenkins job, and this Jenkins job I want to name it as hello world, let's say, message. Okay, so this is going to just print the message of the execution, and I'm going to just say freestyle project, and I'm going to just say okay. I'm not going to copy the configuration, and in the description I'm going to just say display message, and in the source code management I will leave it as none. In the build triggers, this will be executed after the hello world run Jenkins. So I'm going to just check on this checkbox which says build after the other project build, and here I'm going to just write hello world run. I'm going to choose this option which says hello world run. So this Jenkins job will run after hello world run Jenkins job is executed. And now I will just scroll down a little, and in the build section I will just choose execute shell, and here I will just echo something. So I will just write echo, and in the double quotes I will just print something which I can recognize. So I'm going to just print these echo messages, and here in between the lines I want to just say success, let's say. And now I will just save my job, and when I go to the home page, now we have 3 Jenkins job: hello world build, hello world run, and hello world message. So let's just start the build of hello world build Jenkins job. So for that I can just click on this little arrow here, and I can just say build now, which is going to start the build of hello world build. And you will see after some time, you can see this is in the queue. So hello world run is in the queue. So as soon as my hello world build is completed, the hello world run will be executed. And now you can see hello world message is in the queue, because hello world run is completed. So hello world message will be executed after the execution of hello world run. And when I refresh this page, now you can see here build number 27, last build was build number 26, and then after this build was successful, hello world run Jenkins job was triggered, and you can see the build number 1 was triggered. And after the success of hello world run, hello world message was triggered, which is triggered by the success of the hello world run. And let's see the messages also. So let's go to the hello world build first of all, and then let's see build number 27 and console log, and it just built the hello world Java program, and it says success. And now let's go to the hello world run, which is going to just execute our executable file. And let's see in the console, it prints hello world. It executes our hello world executable file using Java hello world command. And in the last Jenkins job, which is going to just print some message, we can just go here hello world message, and then when we go to the console output of this, you can see this echo command, and it echoes success. So this is how you can chain your job execution on success or failure of the last build. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, we will see how we can do the Jenkins integration with Git and GitHub. So let's get started. I'm going to minimize the browser first of all. And if you are following this video series, in the last videos, we have created this Java samples project. And inside this Java samples project, we have a hello world.java file. And this is the output of that file. Now let's say we want to commit this project to Git, and then we want to push the changes to the GitHub repository. First of all, I'm going to show you how you can do it, and then we will see how we can create a Jenkins job out of it. Now if you are new to Git and GitHub,
In the last video, I have shown you how you can install Git and configure GitHub on your Ubuntu operating system. So just watch the last video of this series and you will be good to go. So for committing my file on Git, let me open the terminal first of all. So I'm going to just press Ctrl-Alt-T to open the terminal. And first of all, I will just cd to my Java samples directory. And in order to initialize a Git project in this directory, I can just give this command git init and then press enter, and this directory will be added to the Git. Now in order to see the status of all the file, I can just give this command git status and then press enter, and you will see this message which says untracked file because we haven't added and committed these files to Git. So let's do that. So to add these files to Git, we just need to write git add and the file names one by one, hello world.class space hello world.java, and this will add both these files to the Git. And let's do git status once again, and now you will see both the files and the message is changes to be committed. So let's commit these files. So to commit on Git, you just need to give this command git commit -m to give the message, and here you can give any message which you want to provide for your commit. So for example, first Java commit, let's say, or any other message which you like to give to your commit. And once again, we can commit these files one by one. So just give the first file name and then space and then give the second file name and then press enter, which is going to commit these files to the Git. Now let's check the status once again. So git status, and you can see nothing to commit, working tree clean. So now we have committed these files to Git, but in order to push them to GitHub, we need to create a repository on GitHub. So I'm going to go to the browser and I'm going to go to github.com and log in with my credentials there. And here I will just click on start a project. Let's say I just want to give the name Java Hello World, and then you can give the description here, which is optional. But for now, I'm going to leave everything as default and I'm going to just press on create repository, which is going to create a blank repository for me. Now in here you will see two help messages. One is to create a new repository on the command line, and other is to push an existing repository from the command line. So we have already created our Git repository, so we will push this repository using command line. So we will choose the second option, which is this one, and for that we need these commands. So I'm going to just copy the first command, which is going to just add the remote origin to my project. So this is my project and I have already committed these two files to my Git, and to add it to my remote origin, I just need to give this command git remote add origin and the URL of your Git repository, which is this one, or simply you can copy this command, which will be enough. So once you have copied and pasted this command, just press enter. So this command is successful. Now let's copy the second command in order to push our changes to the repository. So I'm going to just copy the second command and go to the terminal, just right click, paste, and then press enter. And this is going to push our changes to the GitHub. First of all, we need to give our GitHub credentials here. So first of all, the username, and then press enter. And second is the password, and then press enter. And now your files will be pushed to your repository. So once you have done that, I'm going to just go to this repository which I've created, and I will see these two files which I have committed to the Git in this folder which I'm working on. So once you have created your repository on GitHub, you can go to Jenkins and let's create a new project here. And here I'm going to just give the same name which my repository has, which is Java Hello World. And then I'm going to choose the freestyle project and I'm going to click OK. And in the description, I will just say Java Hello World example, and rest everything we will leave as default. And now click on source code management. And because we are working with Git, so now we will click on the Git option. And here you can give your Git repository URL. So to get the Git repository URL, you can just go to your repository and click on this green button which says clone or download, and just copy this URL from here and then paste this URL here, which is repository URL. And now we will scroll down a little, and here it says branches to the build. So by default, you can see there is only one branch in our GitHub repository, which is master branch. So we will leave this as default. But if you want to have multiple branches in your GitHub, and then you want to clone, for example, a development branch or any other branch, you just need to give the branch name of your repository here which you want to clone. Okay, so right now we only have the master branch, so we will leave this as default. And next option is repository browser, so we will also leave it as default. And now we will go to the build triggers, and for now I will leave everything as default, but we will see how we can choose this option which says poll SCM or other Git option in a moment. But first of all, I want to show the simple way of just cloning and building your Jenkins job. So just leave everything as default in your build triggers, and then build in environment also I'm going to leave everything as default. Now in the build option, we will choose execute shell here, and here we will give the commands to compile our hello world.java program. So we will just say java c hello world.java, which is our Java file, which is this one. So we want to compile this one, and then we want to just run this file. So for running, we will just use java hello world. And by now I think you already know what these commands are doing. And let's go to the build environment once again. So here in the build environment, you will see few options. So first option is delete workspace before build start, and this is important for us. So I'm going to show you what this is in a moment, but first let me save this job first of all. And once your job is created, let's go to the home page, and in here let's build this job. So I'm going to just click on this arrow button, and I'm going to just say build now, and now the build of this job will start. We are going to just go inside this Java hello world, and you can see here our build is successful. So I'm going to go inside this build, and I'm going to go to the console output, and here you will see more details. So first of all, you will see the location where your GitHub repository is cloned, and this is the location where your GitHub repository is cloned, right? And you can see in the next command, it has cloned our GitHub repository, and after the cloning, these two commands has been executed. So first was the java c hello world.java, which is used to compile our hello world program, and then java space hello world, which have resulted in this output, which is hello world, and our job is finished with success. So this is how you can clone your repository, and you can just build your job using GitHub repository. Now let's go to this location, which is the default Jenkins location where your repository has been cloned. Okay, so I'm going to just copy this path from here, and I'm going to go to the terminal and open the next terminal, and I'm going to just give cd and whatever path you have copied, and I'm going to just press enter here, and I'm going to do ls here, and you can see both of your file are here. So hello world.class is there, and hello world.java is there. Now let's see if some more configuration options for our Jenkins job. So I'm going to go to my Jenkins job, and I'm going to go to the configuration now, And once again in the configuration, I'm going to go to the build environment and I'm going to choose this option which says delete workspace before build start. So this is going to delete this workspace before our build starts. So this is the workspace of Jenkins, and if you choose this option, this is going to delete the workspace before this Jenkins job starts, right? So I'm going to save the job and build it once again, and hopefully this will also be successful. And I'm going to go to my job and then see the console output, and you can see building in workspace once again. And then first of all, it has deleted our workspace and once again cloned our repository. Okay, so this is the extra step when you choose the delete workspace option. Now let's see some more configuration options. So I'm going to go to the configuration of my Jenkins job, and this time I'm going to go to my build triggers, and in the build triggers I'm going to choose this option which says poll SCM, and this option works similar to the build periodically option which works on the cron mechanism. So if you give 5 asterisks here, this is going to poll every minute to your repository for any changes, and if you have done any changes to your GitHub repository, this is going to detect your changes, and if there is any change, then it's going to build your job once again. So let's save this job. So to trigger this job now, what we need to do is we need to do some changes to our GitHub using Git. So in this project, what I'm going to do is in my Java samples project where I have committed my Java hello world files using Git, I'm going to do ls once again, and you can see there is no readme into my repository, so I'm going to add a readme file into my repository. So to do that, I'm going to use the touch command. So just write touch readme.md, which is the readme file name, and then press enter and do ls, and you can see this readme.md is created. And to edit this file, I'm going to just write gedit. Gedit is the editor. You can choose any editor you want, and then the file name, which is readme.md. And once this editor is open, I will just copy and paste some readme content into this readme.md file. And now I'm going to just give the git status command. So just give the git status, and you can see this there is one file which is untracked. So we are going to add this to the git first of all. So git add and the file name once again, and then I'm going to commit this file once again, do the git status, and then let's git commit. So git commit -m, and in the message you can just write readme added, and then the file which you want to commit, which is readme.md, and then press enter. And now we just need to push our changes to GitHub, and for that we will use the git push -u origin master command, and then press enter, and this will push our changes to GitHub. And once again give the GitHub credentials and the password, and then press enter, and our changes are pushed to GitHub. So you can see here that this readme file is there and all the content of readme file is visible now. And on the Jenkins job, when I refresh this, you will see this third job is triggered, and you can see it's working. So you can just click on the third job, and I will go to the console output, and you can see it just says started by SCM change, which means it is started by the change in our repository, which is polled every minute. And once this change is detected, then it's going to start the cloning of your Git repository, and your Jenkins job will be built after that. So this was the option to poll your GitHub repository every 1 minute, and if the changes are detected, then it's going to trigger the build, and your Jenkins job will be executed. So this is how you can integrate Git and GitHub with Jenkins.
Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can create users in Jenkins. Till now, we only have one user, which is admin user, which we have created at the time of installation of Jenkins. Now, generally in teams, we have different users with different roles. So for example, a software team can have a team lead, which can be admin. Then we have developers, QA guys or testers, or we can have the operations guys or DevOps guys who are responsible for the provisioning and the deployment of the software. So for that, we need to give the credentials to those users so they can log in with their account, and then they will be able to configure and build their own jobs. So let's see how we can create users in Jenkins. So just go to the home page of Jenkins and then just click on Manage Jenkins. And once this Manage Jenkins page opens, just scroll down until you have found the section which is called Manage Users. So just click on the Manage Users. And you can see there is only one user is there till now. So we will create a new user. To create a new user, you just need to click on Create User. And then you just need to give the username of that user. You can say user1 and the password of that user. And this password, the user will be able to change later. So you can just provide the initial password here, and then just provide the confirmation of the password, and then provide the full name of the user, for example, the user1 once again, and then provide the email address of the user, and then click Create User. This is going to create the new user. Let's create one more user. So this time this user will be user2, and then I'm going to quickly provide the password, confirm password, and then the full name. This will be user2, for example, and then the email ID, and then create user, which is going to create the user. So now we have two users. So you can see we are logged in with the admin user. So let's log out, and then let's log in with the user1 credentials. So just give the username and password of that user, and then just log in. And now you can see I'm logged in with the user1 account. Now you can see a little arrow icon here beside the user1 name. So you just can click on that and just click on the configure option. And once you click on that, here you can provide some more configuration option for this user1 account. So some description, what is his title or what is his job, and then API token. So you can see the API token. This we will discuss in the later videos, how we can use the API token for the user, but you should know you can find this API token here. And then the credentials, the email ID, and the password can be changed later from here. So user1 can change his password from here, and also the SSH public keys. So if this user has to authenticate with his keys, then you can provide the public key here. And if you want some help, you can just click on this question mark, and you will be able to see some hint here. So this says list SSH public keys that are associated with the user. These keys can be used, for example, by Jenkins CLI. So Jenkins CLI, we are going to see how we can use Jenkins CLI in the later videos. So if you are curious about Jenkins CLI, then we will see it later. So this is how you can provide the configuration for the user in Jenkins. And after the configuration, you can just save the configuration, and then the configuration will be saved. Now let me log out once again, and let me log in with the admin credentials once again. And you can see the admin have the access to view all the project. And when I log in with the user 1 account or user 2 account, he also have the access to view all the project here. In addition, you can see the manage Jenkins option for the user 1 also. And when I click on that, this user have all the access to change the configuration of the system or change the global security, or he have the access to do anything which admin user can do. And this can be a problem. For example, this user 1 is a developer and he has all the admin rights, and this is sometimes not desirable. The admin right must lie in the hands of the admin only. So for that, we have the option to install some plugins and then provide the access to the roles which this user have. So we will see how we can install this plugin to assign roles or manage users in the next video. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, we will see how we can install plugins in Jenkins. Now this video will be the continuation of the last video in which we have created the users, and we faced a problem. The problem was all users were having same access to all the projects, and we wanted to restrict the access to the user based upon his role. So for that, we wanted to install some plugin, and this plugin we will install in this video. So to install plugins in Jenkins, we need to go to the Manage Jenkins page. So just click on Manage Jenkins, and then when you scroll down, you will be able to see this section which says Manage Plugins. So just click on the Manage Plugins section, and you will be able to see 4 tabs here. First tab is for updates. So whatever plugins are already installed at the time of installation, you will see the update information of the plugins which have the updates. So if you want to update, for example, this Apache HTTP components client plugin, you can just check on this, and then you can say download now and install after restart. But we want to install a new plugin, so we will go into this section which says available. So in available section, there are many plugins which are available, and for now, to restrict the access of the project to the users and groups, we need to install a plugin called role-based authentication strategy. So you can just filter these plugins using this search box. So just write role, for example, and all the plugins will be shown which have the keyword role. And there is only one plugin available, which is role-based authentication strategy. And this is the plugin we want to install. So we will check this checkbox. And if we want to know more about this role-based authentication strategy plugin, I will right click on this link and I will open this in the next tab or new tab, and you will be able to see more information about this plugin. So you can see this is the website, plugins.jenkins.io role strategy, and you can see about this plugin, and you can see the introduction about this plugin. So this plugin adds a new role-based strategy to use and fasten user management. So it can create global roles, it can create project roles, it can create slave roles, and also assigning these roles to the user. So here also you will be able to find more information about this plugin and how to use this plugin. Also, you will be able to see the documentation about this plugin when you scroll down. Now, there are 2 ways of installing plugins. One way is to search in your Jenkins in the available tab, and you will be able to find the plugin, and then we will click this button which says download now and install after restart.
Or the second way of installing the plugin is I'm going to show you. So for example, we want to install this dependency which says matrix authentication strategy. I'm going to open this in the next tab, and in this tab you will be able to see, when you scroll down, the latest release of this plugin. So I'm going to click on the latest release, which is going to download the .hpi file. So this plugin is called matrix auth. .hpi file is the plugin, right? So we are going to save this plugin, and once this file is downloaded, this HPI file is downloaded, we will go to the Jenkins, and you will be able to see this advanced tab here. And in the advanced tab, when you scroll down a little, you will be able to see this option which says upload plugins, and you will be able to just click on this button which says browse, and then just select your HPI file and upload this file. And in this way you will be able to install that plugin also. Now we are going to install our plugin using the Jenkins in the available tab. So I'm going to once again search for the role-based authentication strategy. I'm going to just check on this checkbox, and I'm going to click on this button which says download now and install after restart. And then you will be able to see this page which says installing plugins or upgrades, and then it says role-based authentication strategy downloaded successfully. We need to restart our Jenkins, so we will just check on this checkbox which says restart Jenkins when installation is complete. So I'm going to just check on this checkbox. So it's going to restart the Jenkins once this plugin is installed. So I'm going to wait for some time until this Jenkins is restarted, and now I can see this message which says please wait while Jenkins is getting ready to work after the restart. And now the Jenkins has been restarted, I think. So we need to log in with our credentials, and I'm going to say login. And after I logged into the Jenkins, I'm going to go to the manage Jenkins section. So I'm going to click on manage Jenkins, and then I will go to the manage plugins section. And then once the plugin is installed, you will be able to see it in the installed tab. So I'm going to click on installed, and then I'm going to search for role-based authentication strategy. You can see this plugin here which says role-based authentication strategy. So this plugin is now installed. So now we can use this plugin, and this we will see in the next video how we can use the role-based authentication strategy plugin to restrict Jenkins project access to the users and group using roles. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to show you how to restrict Jenkins project access to the users and group using roles. Now this video will be the continuation of the last video in which I have shown you how to install the plugins in Jenkins. And we have installed the special plugin to restrict the project access to the user, which was role-based authentication strategy plugin. So you can see in manage Jenkins, when you go to the manage plugins, and then you will go to the installed section here, and you can search for role here. And if you have in your installed section this plugin which is role-based authentication strategy, then this video will be beneficial to you. Otherwise you need to install this plugin. So once you have this plugin installed, let's start using this plugin to restrict the project access to the user. So once again, I'm going to go to the manage Jenkins, and first of all, let me create some users so that we can restrict the project access to them. So I'm going to go to the manage users first of all. So right now I have admin user, and I have one more user which is user.1. Let me create some more users. So I'm going to create user.2, and then the password for user2, and the full name I'm going to just leave it as same, user.2, and the email address, and then create user. And I'm going to create one more user, user3, and the password, and the full name user.3, same, I will leave it as default, and then the email ID. So now we have 3 users, user.1, user.2, and user.3. Now let's go to the manage Jenkins once again, and this time just go to the section called configure global security, and once you are in configure global security section, make sure that this option is already checked, which is enable security, and then just scroll down, and in the authentication section you will see a new option here, which is role based strategy. This will appear after the installation of the plugin, which was role based authentication strategy. So we are going to check this option and then save it. So once you have checked the option role based strategy in configure global security, when you will scroll down, now you will see a new option, which is manage and assign roles. So I'm going to just click on this option which says manage and assign roles, and here we have 3 options: manage roles, assign roles, and role strategy macros. So I'm going to go to the first section here, and here you will see the global roles. Global roles are the roles which are globally configured. For example, admin is a global role. Let's create a new global role. For example, employee is a global role. We will just add it, and for employees we just want to give the overall read access to the global role employee, and we want to give the view access to the employee role, and all other access we don't want to give. For example, credentials or agent creation or job creation. For the employees, for now I'm not giving any access to the employee role. Now when I scroll down a little, you will see project roles. So under this project role section, you can provide the project based roles and authentication. So for example, we have a Java developer role. So I'm going to just write Java-developer, and in the pattern you can provide the access of the Jenkins job based upon this pattern to the Java developer, for example. So let's say any project which start with the keyword Java is accessible to this role Java developer. So I'm going to just write the pattern of that, which is Java dot asterisk. This means that any name, any Jenkins job name which starts with Java will be accessible to this role, which is Java developer. So I'm going to add this role, and I'm going to provide all the access for this Jenkins job to the Java developer. So now the Java developer role is created. Let's create one more role, which is, for example, we have intern in our team. So I'm going to just write intern, and intern will have the access to the projects which start with hello. So all the project which starts with hello, intern will have the access to only those projects. I'm going to just give the access to the role intern. Now let's add one more project role here, for example, tester. So the tester will have only the access of the project whose name start with test, for example. Okay, so I'm going to just add this tester role, and then I will provide the access to these type of project to the tester. So once these roles are created and you have given all the access for these project to the roles, then you can save your configurations, and we will verify this configuration by just going again to the manage role section, and you can see employee role is there, and our 3 project roles are there also, which will have the access to these kind of patterns. Now I will just come out. I will just click on manage and assign roles once again, and this time I will go to the assign role section, and in here in the global roles we only have the user admin here. So we will add some more users here. For example, user.1 is the first user we will add, and then user.2 2 is the second user, and user.3 is the third user. And let's say all of them are employees. So the global role we are assigning to user 1, user 2, and user 3 is employees. So none of them have the admin role. Now I will scroll down, and here under item roles, I will once again add the users first of all. So user.1, and then user.2, and user.3. Now let's say user 1 is a Java developer, user 2 is an intern, and user 3 is a tester. So I will just check the roles which is belonging to the user, and then I will save this configuration once again, and I will verify this by just going again into the assign roles, and you can see user 1, user 2, and user 3 have the employee global role, and user 1 is a Java developer, user 3 is a tester, and user 2 is an intern. Now once you have done that, I will just go to my Jenkins homepage, and you can see I'm logged in as an admin, so I can see every project here. And when I log out here, and I will just log in with user 1 credential, and I'm going to log in, and you can see user 1 was a Java developer. So user 1 can only see the project which start with the keyword Java. So Java hello world and Java job. I'm going to log out, and now I'm going to log in with the user 2 credentials. So user.2 and the password, and login. And you can see user 2 was an intern, right? So user 2 will have the access to all the Jenkins job which start with the keyword hello. So hello world build, hello world message, hello world run. And let's see what project does user 3 have. So user.3, and then I'm going to log in with his credentials, and user 3 doesn't have any project because we don't have any Jenkins job related to the tester. So when I log in with the admin credentials, you can see there is no Jenkins job which start with the keyword test. So let's create one Jenkins job. So I'm going to just click on new item, and I'm going to just say test project 1. Okay, so test project 1, and it will be a freestyle project, and I'm going to just click OK. And in the configuration, I will leave this configuration as blank because we just want to test this Jenkins job if user 3 has the access to this Jenkins job or not. So I'm going to just save this Jenkins job, and I will go to the home page once again. So now we can see we have one new Jenkins job which start with the keyword test. So I'm going to log out once again, and I'm going to log in with the user 3 credentials, and now you can see user 3 have the access to the project which start with the keyword test. So in this way you can use the role-based authentication strategy plugin, and in this way you can restrict the Jenkins project access to the users and group using their roles. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, we will see how to do some of the basic configurations in Jenkins using a section called Configure System in Manage Jenkins. So when I click on Manage Jenkins, there is a section called Configure System, and here we can do some of the basic configurations about Jenkins. So we will start from the top. The first option here is Home Directory, and you will see the location of your Jenkins home directory in the file system. So when I copy this path, and when I open the terminal, and I will cd to this path, you will be able to see all the configurations file or Jenkins related files are present inside this directory. So you will see config.php,
.xml file. You will see jobs directories, nodes directories, plugins directories where all the plugins will be installed, or the users directory and the workspace directory. So all the configurations related to Jenkins you can do here. And when I click on this question mark here beside this option, you will be able to see more information about this option. So by default, Jenkins stores all of its data in this directory on the file system. There are few ways to change the Jenkins home directory. So this is the procedure which is given here to change the home directory of this Jenkins. So if you have the good reason to change it, you can follow these instructions to change the home directory. Now, second option here is system message. So this is the message you can show on the home page of Jenkins. So for example, I can just write some message here. This is my Jenkins home page, let's say, okay, and I will just save this option. And when I save this option, you will be able to see this message is displayed on the top of your home page above all the Jenkins job. So I will once again go to the configure system, and this system message also supports the HTML tags. Now you can see a little section here which says plain text. This is the support format which this box will support. Now we can change it to support the HTML. So for that we need to go to the manage Jenkins option once again, and then go to the configure global security, and inside the configure global security you will be able to find a section called markup formatter, and by default it's plain text here selected. We can choose the safe HTML here, and then we can just save this option. And once you save this option, we can just refresh this configure page, and now you will see here safe HTML is displayed here. So this is the default format which this message will support. So for example, now I can use the HTML tags here. For example, I want to just show this message in h1 tag, so I can just use this h1 tag here, h1, and then I can preview this message from here. So I can just click here, and this message will be displayed like this on my home page. Let me save it, and let's verify this. So you can see it's shown in the h1 tags now, this system message. So this is how you can just display the system message here. Now the next option here is the number of executors, and for example this number is 2 by default. That means that 2 jobs can run parallelly on this Jenkins, right? If I can change it to 5, then it will allow the 5 jobs to run parallelly. So you can change this number from here, number of executors. The next option is labels. This is a little bit detailed concept when we use the master slave concept and nodes. We will see how to use labels. So I'm going to leave this for now. We will see how labels work in the future lectures. Now the next section here is the usage, and by default the usage here is use this node as much as possible, because we only have one Jenkins node, which is this node. That's why the default option is use this node as much as possible. But when we will learn how to create nodes and how to provide labels to our nodes, then later we will be able to choose this option which says only build jobs with labels expression matching this node. So this we will learn later when we will see how to create nodes and how to assign labels to our nodes. So for now I will leave it as default. For more information you can just click on this question mark, and you will see some more description about this usage section. So controls how Jenkins schedules built on this node. Okay,
So you can read more about this option here. Now the next option is the quiet period. Now the quiet period, it's in second. I'm going to just click on the question mark once again, and here it says when this option is checked, newly triggered builds of this project will be added to the queue, but the Jenkins will wait for the specified period of time before actually starting the build. So Jenkins will wait, for example, for 5 seconds before starting this build. So sometimes, for example, you use the source code management system, and your committing will take some time, or when you push your code, it takes some time to get into your GitHub repository, or for any other reason. For example, your jobs takes some time to start. You can specify this quiet period here so that your jobs or your build will start after this specified period. So by default it's 5, but you can change it in future when you feel that your Jenkins will need more time to start. So just provide the quiet period here. This will be in seconds. So after 5 seconds, your build will start after the triggering of this job. Now the next option here is SCM checkout retry count. So this is the option where, for example, you are using your SCM source code management system. Let me go to the home page and let me show you one example. So I will go into one Jenkins job here, and I will go to the configuration section here, and then I will scroll down for the build triggers, and you will see poll SCM option here. So when I select this poll SCM or GitHub hook trigger for Git's SCM polling, then this is the option for number of tries. So this Jenkins will try to connect to your GitHub, for example, this much number of times. Right now it's 0, but for example you set it to 5, then Jenkins will try 5 times to connect to your GitHub before giving or showing some error. Now the next option is restrict project naming. So let's see this option also. So by default it's default. Now you can choose the pattern option here, or you can choose the role based strategy option here also. So let's see what this pattern option do. So I'm going to click on this question mark, and you can see some description here which says define a pattern or a regular expression to check whether the job name is valid or not. So for example, I define some pattern here for the naming of my Jenkins job. So let's say I define java.*. That means my Jenkins job which I will be able to create will start from Java and not any other keyword. So let me save this option, and once this is saved, let me try to create a new Jenkins job, and let's say I just give some name here, and instantly you will see this message which says dev does not match the job name convention pattern, which is java.*, which means that your Jenkins job name should start with this Java keyword. So let's say I will just start the name with Java keyword, and now I can see that there is no warning here. Okay, any other pattern, it's going to show this warning here. Okay, so this pattern option you can use to give some kind of pattern for the naming. For now I will just choose it as default. So I'm going to just revert it back to the default option, but if you want, you can just change it to anything you want in the future. Okay, now next section here is the global properties, and in the global properties you will see two options here. One is environment variables. So here you can give all the environment variables which you want to give to your Jenkins job globally, for example. So let's say I want to give let's say Java home environment variable. I can give it from here. So I can give the value of this Java home environment variable and the name from here, okay, or any other environment variable which you want to use in your Jenkins job execution, you can give it from here. Now the next option here is the tool location. So this is the tool location. So for example, you want to use some tool, let's say Git. So the binary path for this Git, you can give it from here. Now the next section here is the pipeline speed durability settings, and this we will see in the future videos. I'm going to skip this section for now. And then you have the usage statistics option, which will help make Jenkins better by sending the anonymous usage statistics and crash reports to the Jenkins project. So if you want this option, you can check it or uncheck it according to your needs. And then next section is the time stamper, system clock time format, and elapsed time format. This is the format which Jenkins will support, but you can see in the details, you can support any other format which is given here. So here you can just define the time format which you want to show. Now in the next section, you will be able to see the Jenkins location. Before that, there is administrative monitor configuration, and you will be able to see this option which says enable administrative monitoring. And here you can see administrative monitoring are the warnings shown to Jenkins administrator about the state of Jenkins interface. So you can check these options, whatever warning you want to see. So for example, you want to see the dependency warning, or you want to see the invalid plugin warning, or if you want to see the disk usage warning, all the warnings you can set up from here. By default, every warning is selected. But let's say if you want to skip some warning, you can just uncheck this option, and then this warning will not be shown to you. Let's go to the next option here, which is the Jenkins location. By default, we are using the local host, but you can give any host name instead of this local host. Now next option is the admin email address. You can provide your admin email address here. And then you have the GitHub server option. So if you want to add some keys for your GitHub server, you can provide those keys, or you can give the name of your GitHub server here and then provide the GitHub server's credentials from here. We will see this later how we can do it. And then you have the GitHub enterprise servers. So if you are using some private servers to host your repositories like GitHub private repository, then you can add the information about that here. Now the next section is the pipeline model definition. This we will see when we will see the pipelines, how pipelines works. Then you have the build timeout plugin option. So whatever plugin you have just installed, or whatever plugins there is in your Jenkins, there are some options you can set for those plugins here, for example. So Git plugin, or Subversion plugin, Shell plugin, extend email notification plugin, and any other information you can give it here. So you have the email notification, SMTP server configuration, you can do it from here. So these are some of the basic configuration you can do for your Jenkins as an administrator.
Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, we will see how we can build or test a simple Maven project using Jenkins. So let's see how we can do it. So what I have is I have a simple Maven project inside my Maven workspace directory, and the name of my Maven project is my app. This my app project I have created using the Maven website. So once you are on the maven.apache.org, you can just go to use section here, and inside this use section you will be able to see this 5-minute test, and I have used all the commands here to create a project. So this section I have used. So I have used this command, which created the my app directory where my Maven project is there. So if you want to follow along, you can just give this command, and then this my app directory will be created with the Maven project. So once you have this project, let's open the terminal first of all, and I'm going to just go to this directory. And what we can do here is, for example, we can give mvn clean and test command, and then press enter, which is going to clean our project and then run the test inside this Maven project. And you can see all the tests are runs and there is no failure and build is successful. So let's say we want to execute this clean and test goals using Jenkins. And first of all, we want to check our code into GitHub, and then we want to, for example, clone the code from the GitHub repository into our Jenkins and then execute these goals. How we can do it, let's see. So first of all, for that, I need to create a GitHub repository. So I will go to the GitHub and I will log in with my credentials here. And once you are logged in with your credentials, I'm going to just click on this button which says start a project. And in the repository name, I'm going to just write my app. And now I'm going to just leave everything as default, and I'm going to just click on create repository. So now my GitHub repository is created, and now you can see you have two options here. One is create a new repository on command line, and second is push our existing repository from the command line. So we will use the first option here. First of all, we will initialize the Git into our project, and then we will commit everything and then push it to our Git repository. So let's do that. If you want help, then you can just follow these commands. We will just execute the similar kind of commands on the terminal. So this is our Maven project. I'm inside my Maven project. So I'm going to just write git init command, which is going to initialize Git inside this directory. And then I'm going to just write git status to know the status of this directory. So I can see there are two directories here and one file here. So I'm going to add this to the Git. So I'm going to just write git add, and then I'm going to just add target, for example, and then source, and then pom.xml. Alternatively, you can also write git add dot, which is going to add everything which is there inside your project directory. So I'm going to do that and then press enter. And once again, I'm going to give the git status command, and you can see these all files are added to the Git now. So one thing which is remaining is to commit everything into the Git. So we will do that. I'm going to just write git commit -m and then the message for the committing, for example, my first Maven commit. And then you can just give a space here and then write dot, which is going to commit every file inside your project. Okay, so git commit -m, then the message, then this dot, and then press enter, and everything will be committed into Git. So I'm going to once again give the git status command, and now you will see on the branch master everything is clean. So we are ready to just push this project to our GitHub repository. Now at this point, you just need to copy this command, which is git remote add, and then whatever is your repository URL .git, and this is going to add the remote origin for the GitHub to your project. Okay, so I'm going to just copy and paste this command, which is git remote add origin and whatever is your repository URL, and then press enter, and this repository is added. And now I'm going to push everything to my GitHub repository using this command, which is git push -u origin master, and I'm going to just paste this command and then press enter, and this is going to ask for my username for GitHub and my password for the GitHub. And now everything will be pushed to my GitHub repository. So let's check whether everything is there or not. So I'm going to just once again click on my repository which I have just created, and now you will see everything is pushed to my GitHub repository, and this is the message which we have given at the time of committing, and you can see we have committed this 2 minutes ago. Okay, so now once your project is there on the GitHub, let's create a Jenkins project first of all. So I'm going to just click on new item, and here I'm going to just write first Maven project, and I'm going to use the freestyle project for now. There are plugins available on Jenkins which makes it easier to create and run a Maven on Jenkins, but for now I'm going to just use this option which says freestyle project, and I'm going to click on OK. And in the description I'm going to just write first Maven project, and then I'm going to just check this option which says GitHub project, and then I'm going to copy the URL of my GitHub repository, and I'm going to just paste this URL, and then I'm going to leave everything as default. And in the source code management I'm going to choose Git option here, and once again I can just go here and click on this green button and copy the URL here for my repository, and I can paste it here. Okay, I don't need any credentials for now, and the branch I'm using is the master branch. You can see I only have one branch in my project, which is the master branch, but if you have different branches, you can provide your branch name here instead of master. And now I will leave everything as default, and here you can choose different kind of build triggers. For now I'm going to just choose this option which says git hook trigger for git SCM polling, and then in the build environment I'm going to choose this option which says delete workspace before build start, which is going to delete our workspace and then run the goals on our Maven project. Okay, so just check this checkbox, and then we will move to the build section here, and inside the build section there is a special section for Maven, which is this one which says invoke top level Maven targets. So we are going to use this option here, and if you want to see the more advanced option, you can click on this button which says advanced, and here you can give the POM file directory path if this file is located somewhere other than your default project path. Okay, and then you have more options here, for example JVM options or properties to give here. For now we will just provide the goals for our Maven project, which is clean and test using the space here, and then I'm going to save my Jenkins job, and let's run our Jenkins job and let's see if it works fine or not. So I'm going to just click on this build now option, which is going to start the Jenkins build, and then I'm going to click on the build history option, which is going to show me my console output. So I'm going to click on console output, and you can see first of all we will see the default path where this project is checked out. So you can see var live Jenkins workspace, and then inside the workspace this project will be created, Jenkins project, and then our Git repository will be cloned, and you can see already Maven is running the test here, and once the tests are successful at the bottom we will see if it's successful, we will see the message success, otherwise we will see the message failure. Okay, so once again I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to my project here, and you can see this build is successful now. So everything ran successfully. Now let's say we are going to define a goal which is not available inside your Maven project. So we will define some goal which doesn't exist, and let's see what happens then. So I'm going to just say some goal, and I'm going to save this, and then let's see what happens. So I'm going to just start the build again, and I'm going to just go to the build history of this Jenkins build, and then console output, And you can see once again the repository will be cloned, and now you will see the failure because this some goal doesn't exist. So it's going to show us this error message, and then the last message here will be the failure. And once we will go to the home page of Jenkins, now you will see this red ball icon here because our last build was unsuccessful. Okay, so just give the proper goals here which are logical. So clean and test are running for our Maven project. So we will just give those goals here, and once again run the build, and you will see the build will start, and in the console output everything will be checked once again, and then you can see success once again. So this is how you can test and run a simple Maven project on Jenkins using GitHub. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can send email notifications using Jenkins. So first of all, in order to send email notifications using Jenkins, you need to know the SMTP server details of your email provider which you want to use in your Jenkins. So this you can easily find on internet. You just need to search for SMTP server list, and you will be able to find all the informations about the SMTP server on one of the websites like this. So let's say I want to use the Gmail as my email provider to send the notifications. So you can see SMTP server details of Gmail is given here. So this information I'm going to use in order to configure the email notification in Jenkins. So I'm going to go to my Jenkins homepage, and then I'm going to go to Manage Jenkins. And inside this configure system window, you will be able to find the email notification setting at the very bottom. So you will be able to see this section which says email notification, and just above this section you will be able to see this section also, which is extended email notification. So this extended email notification is a plugin which you have already installed at the installation of your Jenkins. So if you have chosen install suggested plugins, then this plugin will be installed in your Jenkins and you will be able to see this option. But for now, I'm going to use the default option, which is the email notification option, which is at the very bottom. So here you will be able to see this option which says SMTP server. So SMTP server for Gmail is smtp.gmail.com. So I'm going to just give this information here, and then you just need to give the default user email suffix. The default email user suffix of Gmail is @gmail.com. And then you will be able to see this advanced setting button. You just need to click it and then just check this checkbox which says use SMTP authentication. And now you just need to give your username and password. Username is your email address from which you want to send your emails. So I will give my Gmail address here. So it can be anything, for example @gmail.com. And then you need to give the password of that email address. So I'm going to give the password of that email address. And then I'm going to just check this checkbox which says use SSL. And the SMTP port, let's see what is the SMTP port for that. So SMTP port for this Gmail server is 465. So I'm going to use this port here, and then you will be able to see this section which says reply to. I'm going to leave this as blank, and you can also test your configuration for your email by sending a test email to any address. So here in the test email recipient, you just need to give the email address of the recipient. So I'm going to give here the recipient email address, and then I'm going to just press on this button which says test configuration. and then it's going to send this email. So you can see this message which says email was successfully sent. Now in some cases you may also encounter some errors which can be resolved by just going to your email account by turning on an option which is called allow less secure apps. So you will be able to see this kind of option, and you just need to turn it on and you will be able to send emails from your Gmail account to any other email. So once you have done the email notification configurations and you have tested your configurations, you can just save your configurations. And once your configuration is saved, you can just go to the Jenkins job in which you want to use this email notification. So I'm going to just use this Jenkins job which says hello world build, and then I'm going to go to the configuration of this job, and then I will scroll down and I will go to the section which is called post build actions. And then when I just click on this list, I will be able to see two options related to email notification. One is editable email notification. This is a plugin, so we haven't configured this plugin yet, so we will use this option which is email notification. We have done the configuration for this option, so just use this option which says email notification, and then you will be able to see this kind of option for recipients. So you can just give the email address to which you want to send an email when your build fails, and you can see this is the option which is enabled by default which says send email for every unstable build. That means when your build is failed, then this email will be sent. So I'm going to just save this configuration, and let me just break the configuration also, so my Jenkins job will fail. So right now let's say this build is java c hello world.java. I'm going to just change the name of this file which doesn't even exist, so this build will fail and then email notification will be sent. So I'm going to just click on build now, and you can see the build has been started. I'm going to go inside this build and console output, and you can see this build is failed, and after this java c command is failed, you will be able to see this option which says sending email to whatever email you have used. And when you go to your Gmail account, you will be able to see this kind of email, and then you will be able to find more details in this text here about your Jenkins. So this is one way of sending email notifications using Jenkins. The more advanced way can be by installing some plugin related to email notifications. So you can once again go to manage Jenkins, and we have already installed a plugin at the time of installation which is editable email notification, right? So I'm going to just scroll down where I will find editable email notification, which is this option, this one. And here also you can give the same options. For example, for SMTP, you will be able to give smtp.gmail.com, and then default user suffix is the same @gmail.com. And then in the advanced setting, you will have the same type of settings. For example, this is your email address from which you want to send an email, and then this is your password for your email, and then this is the advanced email properties which I will leave as default, and then I will choose use SSL checkbox, and then in the SMTP port I will just use 465, and you can do some more settings here. One thing you can do here is you can add the default recipients here, whatever recipients you want to use for your email. So I'm going to add one recipient which I have also used in the last section, and then I'm going to save this configuration. And once my configuration is saved, I can once again
go to, let's say I'm going to go to the next Jenkins job now, and then I'm going to go to the configuration of this Jenkins job, and then in the post build actions, this time I will use this option which says editable email notification. So just use this option, and then you will be able to find all these fancy options which you can change at any time. Important for us is for example project recipient list here. So by default it's default recipients. You can give any other email address here, and if you want to know more here, you will be able to find more details here. So it says you just need to add a CC colon here or BCC colon here. So I'm going to add that CC and then colon and then the email address, and then I will scroll down, and in the advanced setting you will be able to find more settings. So you can see trigger is failure, and the email will go to the developers. So we haven't added any developer email. We have added the recipient email. So I'm going to use this recipient email list, and I'm going to remove the developers from here, and then I'm going to just save this configuration. And once your Jenkins build will fail, it will send the email to the recipient list. So in this way you can configure your Jenkins to send email notifications. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video we will see what is a Jenkins pipeline and how to use pipelines in Jenkins. So first of all, what is a Jenkins pipeline? So a Jenkins pipeline is a suite of plugins which supports implementing and integrating continuous delivery pipelines in Jenkins. Now to explain this, I will reopen this diagram which I have shown you in the introduction of Jenkins. So every change which you make in your software, so for example, you are a developer and you make the changes in the software and you push those changes into your code repository. In our case, for example, we will take the Git repository, right? Now the job of Jenkins here is to build your code in a reliable manner, and then you may be having a different kind of testing, for example unit testing or integration testing or different kind of testing. So the job of Jenkins is to test your code and then at last deploy your code and even transfer this code into our artifact repository. And if you want to know more about Jenkins pipeline, the documentation on the Jenkins website about pipeline is the best. So just search for Jenkins pipeline, and then you will be able to see this URL, which is jenkins.io/doc/pipeline. Just click on this link, and then you will be able to get all the details about pipeline on this page. And when you scroll down, you will be able to see this section which says what is a Jenkins pipeline. And then if you want to learn more about pipelines, then you can read this section. So in simple words, a pipeline is a script which gives Jenkins a series of jobs to do in a pipeline-like manner. And if you read this line, the definition of Jenkins pipeline is written into a text file called a Jenkins file. Okay, so we will create a Jenkins file in our repository, or Jenkins allows us to write a Jenkins file directly into the configuration of our Jenkins job. And there are two ways of writing this Jenkins script, which is declarative and scripted pipeline. And you will be able to get more details about declarative, script and scripted pipeline syntax here on this page itself. So when you scroll down, you will be able to see this flow diagram of Jenkins. And when you scroll down more, you will be able to see this section which says declarative pipeline fundamentals. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly this. So how to use declarative pipeline in Jenkins. So in declarative pipeline syntax, the pipeline block defines all the work done throughout the entire pipeline. So this is the simple syntax which allows us to define different stages, and then inside the stages you can define different steps. And all this starts with this keyword pipeline, and then this is a groovy sandbox syntax. So if you are familiar with that, then it will be more helpful. So you use the keyword pipeline, and then in these curly brackets you use agent any, and this means executes this pipeline or any of its stages on any available agent. So every detail about this script you will be able to find here. So for example, there is a section called stages, and inside the stages you can define different stages. So for example, there is a stage for build here, there is a stage for test here, and there is a stage for deploy here, right? So we will be using this syntax into our Jenkins job. Now let's take a real use case which we can implement on our Jenkins job. So if you remember, we have created a Maven project in the last videos, and I have pushed this code onto the GitHub repository. So let's say we want to test this Maven app, and then we want to compile this Maven app, and we want to package this Maven app using this Jenkins pipeline. How we can do this using Jenkins? Let's see. So I'm going to go to the Jenkins homepage, and I'm going to create a new item here, and this new item will be, for example, pipeline demo, for example. And in here you will choose this section which says pipeline. Okay, so give the name of your Jenkins job and choose the pipeline section from here, and then click OK, which is going to create your Jenkins job. And then in the general you can provide any description about your project. I'm going to skip all this, and then here we are going to say our job is a GitHub project. So we are going to just click on this checkbox, and then we can just copy this URL and then paste it here. So this is a project URL, and I'm going to scroll down. We are going to skip this section for now, which is build triggers. You can define any triggers you want later, but the most important section here is the pipeline section which we are going to use. So in the definition you will be able to see two options here. One is pipeline script, another is pipeline script from SCM. So we are going to see the first option first of all, which is pipeline script, and this enables us to define the script here in this section. If you choose the pipeline script from SCM, then you can define a Jenkins file in your project itself. So I have already defined this Jenkins file in my project, but for now I'm not going to use this Jenkins file. This Jenkins file, I'm going to show how to use this Jenkins file from your GitHub repository in the next video. So for this video, let's say this file doesn't exist. So we are going to create this pipeline script here in our Jenkins job configuration itself. So for doing things faster, I'm going to just copy this syntax which is given on the Jenkins documentation page. So I'm going to just copy this, and I'm going to paste everything here. So the basic syntax is pipeline, and then these curly brackets, and you write agent any, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see this in a better way. And then you write stages, and inside the stages you define your stages, for example. So let me just change this script now. So instead of build, what I want to do is I want to clone my Git repository. So I'm going to just say clone repo here, which is going to clone the GitHub repository, and inside the steps section you can define any shell script commands here. So for example, here you will write sh keyword before executing your command, and this sh means your shell. If you are running this Jenkins on Windows, then you will write bat here, which is the batch command. Okay, so right now we are on Linux, so we will use sh, but if you are on Windows, you can write bat here. Okay, so sh, and then in the double quotes, what we are going to do is we are going to clone our Git repository. So the command for that is git clone and then the URL of your Git repository. So I'm going to just click on this green button, copy this URL from here, and then paste it here. So this is going to clone the repository. Now in the next step, what we are going to do is we are going to clean our project using the Maven clean command. So I'm going to just write sh, and then Maven clean command is mvn clean, and then you need to give the path of your project, because when you clone your Git project, there will be a directory which is cloned, which is my app, and the path you can give here using this flag -f, and then the directory name, which is my app in our case. So the command is mvn clean -f, and then the path of this directory, which is cloned. This is the relative path. That's why I haven't written the whole path here. If you want to write the whole path, or if you want to know the whole path, I'm going to show you how to see the whole path also. But just write this command here. So this is going to clean our project. Now we are going to test our project. Now we are going to run the test on this project. So for that, we can just write sh, and then we can just write mvn test -f, and then the path of your repository, which is my app in our case. And then to deploy, I'm going to use the Maven package command. So sh, and in the double quote, I'm going to just write mvn package space -f, and then my app, which is the path of this directory. Okay, so in the first stage, we are cloning this repository and cleaning it. So let's just write and clean. Okay, so clone repo and clean it. And in the second stage, we are going to run the test. So we have written this command. And in the third step, we are going to deploy our project, and I'm going to use this command for that, which is Maven package. And I'm going to repeat once again. So if you are on Windows, this sh keyword will be replaced by bat keyword. Okay, so because I'm on Linux, I'm using sh command. And now I'm going to just save my configuration. And once my configuration is saved, I'm going to just build my job using this button which says build now. And now the build will start. You can see build has been started. Let me just minimize this, and you will be able to see your build stages here. So this view will show you which stage is executed right now. So the clone and cleaning is done. So first step is successful because we are seeing the green box here. And now you can see at the end of this step was successful, and the second step was successful, which was the test. So the cleaning and the test were successful, but our deploy command have failed. And let's see what is the reason for that. So for finding out the reason, I'm going to just click on this build history, and then I'm going to go to the console output. And you can see this is the directory where this project is cloned. So I'm going to open a new terminal, and I'm going to just write cd and this path. And when I do ls here, you can see there is a my app directory which is cloned here. And then we have run the clean command, which was successful. You can see build was successful. And then we ran the Maven test command, which was also successful. You can see all the tests were run and build was successful. But at the package stage, some problem occurred. And you can see directly here the mistake which I have made intentionally here. So you can see
the command was mvn package -f and the path, and the path is false here. So you can see my -ap 1p is missing from this command. So let's correct our mistake and then we will run our job once again. So I'm going to go to the configuration once again, and then we will correct our mistake, which is correcting the spelling of the my app path, and we are going to save this configuration once again, and I'm going to run the build once again, and then you will be able to see the second build. And now you can see this build has failed miserably. So let's see the reason behind this, why this build failed. So I'm going to just go to this build, and then I'm going to go to the console output, and then you can see the clone, and then I can see this message which says fatal, destination path my app already exists and is not empty directory. So in our first build, when we have cloned our project, this directory was created, and because this directory is already there, the cloning once again will fail because this directory already exists. So for this clone command to be successful, we need to remove this directory and then once again clone it from the GitHub repository. So we are going to go to the configuration once again. So I'm going to go to the configuration, and then I'm going to go to the pipeline script once again. I'm going to just maximize it, and in the first step before the cloning, what we can do here is we can just write sh, and then we can just write rm, which is the remove command, and then I'm going to just add these flag rm -rf, which is going to recursively force the removal of all the files, and then I'm going to give the name of my directory, which is my app in our case. So this command is going to remove this directory and then run the clone command. So once again the cloning will take place, and then this my app will be freshly created or freshly cloned into your Jenkins directory. So let's save our configuration and let's build the job once again. So I'm going to just press on build now, and I'm going to minimize this browser once again, and now I can see the build number here, third build, and then till now our cleaning and cloning is successful, and now this test stage is also successful, and now deploy stage is running, and hopefully it will also be successful. So once you see all the stages green here, that means your Jenkins build is successful, and you can see the time which it took to execute every stage. So for the cloning and cleaning stage, it took 6 seconds. For testing stage, it took 8 seconds, and for the package stage, it took 8 seconds as well. Now, if you want to see more logs of every stage, so for example, I want to see the logs of this stage, I can hover over it and I can click on the log button here, and you will see all the logs related to this stage. So if you want to see the test logs, then you can just click here and view all the log related to the test stage, which is similar to view console output. Okay, so this console output is showing every log from every stage, but if you want to see the individual log from every stage, then you can see it from here. Okay, and then you will have the good overview of your Jenkins pipeline, because you will see what happened in every stage, which stage is failing, and if some stage is failing, what are the logs showing here, and based upon these logs you will be able to take some steps. Whatever stage is failing, you can directly view that log, and then you can take some steps and fix it. So at last you will be able to see all the stages green. That means
your project is successfully built, tested, and deployed. So this is how you can use Jenkins pipeline using your Jenkins job configuration. Now in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can add this Jenkins file to your Maven repository, for example, or any other repository, and then how to use this Jenkins file from your GitHub into your Jenkins job. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In the last video, we have seen what is Jenkins pipeline, and we have also seen how to use pipelines in Jenkins using this pipeline script, which we have defined into our Jenkins job configuration. Now in this video, I'm going to show you the second option of using a pipeline script, which is pipeline script from SCM. Okay, so in the last video, I have shown you how you can create this kind of pipeline script inside your Jenkins configuration. Now there is one more way of creating your Jenkins file, which is you can create your Jenkins file into your GitHub repository and then use this second option, which says pipeline script from SCM, which is more convenient. So let's see how we can use pipeline script from SCM. So we will take the same project which we have used in the last video, which is the Maven project. And there is one special file which I have created here, which is Jenkins file. This Jenkins file name typically start with the capital J, and without any spaces, you just need to write Jenkins file here. And when I click on this file, you will be able to see the pipeline script. So this is the pipeline script which I have written into my Jenkins file, which resides in my Maven project on my GitHub repository. So the syntax is almost same. So your Jenkins file start with the keyword pipeline, and then in these curly brackets, you have the agent any, and then you define the stages. So in this script, we have three stages. One is Maven clean, other is the testing stage, which is Maven test, and the last stage is Maven package. Okay. Now, if you notice here, we haven't used any git clone command, which we have used in the last video. So let's compare these two scripts first of all. So you can see in the first stage, what I was doing is I was using the shell command, first of all, to remove the my app directory, which is created by cloning our GitHub repository. And then we were cloning our GitHub repository once again. And then we were running the Maven clean command into the specified folder, which is my app. Now, when you use Jenkins file in your GitHub repository, you don't need to use this remove command. You don't need to use this clone command, because when you choose this option, Jenkins will allow you to give the path of the GitHub repository from where it will clone your repository. So we will see this example in few seconds, but let's see the script first of all. So you can see I have just run the Maven clean command, and that's it. So this will work similar to this script which we have written in the configuration, but with the lesser steps. So we have removed these two steps, and you don't even need to provide this -f flag, because this Maven clean will be executed inside your my app directory automatically. Okay, so syntax is also much more cleaner here, just Maven clean command, Maven test command, and Maven package command. Okay, so let's see how we can use this Jenkins file into our Jenkins job. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new Jenkins job. So we will see from the start how to use this Jenkins file. So I'm going to just name my Jenkins job as pipeline demo 2, and then I'm going to choose pipeline here, and I'm going to choose OK. So once your Jenkins job is created, we will just say it's a GitHub project, and we will give the URL of our GitHub repository here. And then we will scroll down, and in the pipeline section, this time we will choose the second option, which says pipeline script from SCM. And now you will see these configuration steps here. And the first option here is SCM. So as SCM, we are going to choose the Git SCM. So just choose Git from here. So once you choose Git here, you will be able to see this repository URL. So you can give your repository URL here. So I'm going to just copy my Git repository URL by clicking this button and copying the URL and pasting here. And then once you click anywhere outside this box, you will be able to see this error is gone. And the credential I don't need, but you can set it from here. And then you can see a branch specifier. So by default, my project have only one branch, which is the master branch. But if you have multiple branches, then you can define whatever branch you want to use for this Jenkins job. So I'm going to leave this master as default, but if you have some other branch, you can specify here. Okay, and now you will be able to see the script path. So because our Jenkins file script resides on the root of our project, so we don't need to change the path of this script. You can see once again, this Jenkins file resides on the root of my project, so directly inside my app directory. If this Jenkins file reside inside some folder or some complicated folder structure, then you can give the relative path of your Jenkins file script from here. Now last option here is lightweight checkout. So I will leave this as default, and now I'm going to just save my Jenkins job, and I will try to run my Jenkins job. So I'm going to just click on build now, which is going to start my build, and you can see all the stages one by one will be shown here. So the checkout SCM is successful and it took 3 seconds, and now the mvn clean command is going on and it's also successful and it took 7 seconds. And now the test command is going on and it took 13 seconds to execute, but it's successful. And now the last stage, which is the package stage, is going on, and once it's finished, and if you see all the boxes green, that means your Jenkins job is successful and all 4 stages has been executed successfully. You can also see the logs here, and straight away you will observe that this option is more easier than using or creating your pipeline script into your Jenkins configuration. So the advantage of using the Jenkins file into your project is you can change this Jenkins script anytime, and you can directly check your code or commit your code and push your code. And if your build triggers are properly set, you don't need to do anything. Jenkins will take care of everything and it will automatically execute every stage and give you all the results. So this is how you can use pipeline script from your GitHub repository using Jenkins file. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, we will discuss about how we can create the slave nodes in Jenkins, and we will also see what is a master and slave node. So let's get started. So first of all, what is a master node? The master node is wherever your Jenkins is running, it's your master node. Now this single Jenkins server, which is a master node, is not enough to meet certain requirements. For example, sometimes you might need several different environments to test your builds. This cannot be done on your master slave, for example. And for that, you may want to create a slave node. One other scenario can be if you want to build a larger or heavier project on your Jenkins job, then your Jenkins server cannot simply handle the entire load of that job. So in that scenario, you can also just create a dedicated slave node to run that heavy build on that node. So let's see how we can create a slave node on our Jenkins. So just go to the home page of Jenkins and we will go to the Manage Jenkins section. And once this Manage Jenkins section is open, you just need to search for the section which is called Manage Nodes. So I'm going to just click on this option which says Manage Node. And you can see there is a master node, which is the Jenkins on which you are working on. This is already there. And we need to create, for example, a slave node. Now for this example, I will be using SSH methods. So for example, I have an extra machine here, which is also an Ubuntu machine. And let me log inside this machine. And I'm going to use this machine as a slave node. And I will connect to this slave node using my master node on SSH. So make sure that you have already installed OpenSSH server on your slave node so your master can connect to it on SSH. Now we are going to create a new node. So I'm going to just click on new node here. And you can give any name to your node. So for example, I'm going to just write Ubuntu underscore 16.4 because my Ubuntu version is 16.4 on the slave, and underscore agent, for example. Okay, so this will be the name of your node, Ubuntu 16.4 underscore agent. And this will be a permanent agent. So I'm going to just click on this option and then click OK, which is going to create this node. And here in the configuration section of this node, you just need to provide some information. So at the top, you have the name of your node, and next you can give some description about this node, what it's going to do. For example, it's going to build some Java job or Maven builds or any other builds which it's going to execute. The third option is number of executors. So number of executor means number of parallel job which the slave can handle. So for now we have one job. We can just enter 2 here, which means it will be able to handle 2 jobs at the same time. Now the next option here is remote root directory. So the remote root directory is the directory where you want to save all the Jenkins related file on your slave node. So I'm going to open my slave node and I'm inside my home folder here on the slave, and let's create a directory which we are going to use in our master configuration. So I'm going to just write mkdir Jenkins on the slave node, right? So mkdir Jenkins, and then I'm going to just go to the Jenkins file using cd Jenkins, and then I'm going to just write pwd, and this is the location where I want to save all the files related to Jenkins. Okay, so this is on my slave, this directory. I'm going to just copy this path and I'm going to just paste this path as a remote root directory. So all the Jenkins related files or build information will be generated inside this directory on the slave node. Now next option here is a label. So let's click on this question mark and let's see what a label is. So label are used to group multiple agent into one logical group. So this is a simple definition of a label. So for example, I'm going to create multiple Ubuntu slaves. So I can give a label here Ubuntu. Okay, so whenever I will use this label Ubuntu, one of the Ubuntu node will be used to execute the Jenkins jobs. And here you can see, for example, if you have multiple Windows agent and you have a job that must run on Windows, you can give this label on your Jenkins job configuration, and then one of the slave node which have the label Windows will handle that job. So labels are used to group multiple agent into one logical group. For Windows, for example, you can give Windows label. All of your Ubuntu nodes, you can give Ubuntu label, or any other logical label which you can use to group those kind of nodes. So in my case, I'm going to give this label Ubuntu here, and I'm going to just minimize this explanation. And the next section here is the usage. For now, I'm going to use this node as much as possible. There are other options also. For example, this option which says only build job with label expression matching this node. So if you use this one, then if your Jenkins configuration will have Ubuntu label, then only this node will be used to execute that job. So I'm going to just use this node as much as possible. Now the next option here is launch method, and there are few options here. One is launch agent via execution of command on the master. We are going to use the next option, which is launch slave agent via SSH. Okay, so I'm going to just use the second option, which says launch slave agent via SSH. So just select this option, and then this is the host name. So host name, we will just go to our slave machine, and here we can just give if config command and then press enter, and here you will be able to see the host name, which is the IP address of this slave machine, and I'm going to just give this host IP address here. Now in order to verify if SSH is working from your slave to your master, you can open the command line on the master, and then you can just write SSH and then the username to which you want to connect. So I want to connect, for example, this user, which is code bind here. So I'm going to just write code bind @ the IP address which you have copied from the slave, which is 192.168.1.4. and now you will be able to see this kind of message. I'm going to just say yes and then press enter, which is going to ask for your slave's password. So this is the login password which you use to log in to your slave machine, which is this machine. Okay, so this machine's password you need to give here. I'm going to give my slave machine's password, and now I'm logged in to my slave machine using SSH. Okay, if this is working, then this connection will also work. So just use the host IP address here, and in the credentials, right now we don't have any credentials here, so we will add some credentials. So just click on add option here and then click on Jenkins, and when you just click here in front of kind, there are few options here. One is username with password, other is Docker option, and next is SSH username with private key. So you can use any one of these methods, and for now we are going to just use the first method, which is username and password. So we will provide the username and the password. So username is code bind. This is the username of my slave machine, and then I'm going to give the password of my slave machine which I use to log into the slave, and then I'm going to just click add here, and then I'm going to go to the credentials. You can see by default none is selected here. You just need to select the new credentials which you have recently created. So I have created these credentials. I'm going to just choose the credentials which I have created. Now the next option here is host key validation strategy. So this is important. You just need to just select this option which says manually trusted key verification strategy. Okay, so just click on this option which says manually trusted key verification strategy in the option host key verification strategy, and this step is important, otherwise you will face the problem. And the next option here is require manual verification of initial connection. Just leave this unchecked. This is also important. You just need to leave this as unchecked. Now the next option here is the availability. If you want to see the advanced option, you can just click on this option also for your launch method. For example, the port on which SSH is connected, this can be different if you want, and then the JVM options and Java path and other options here, if you want to set them, you can set it from here. Now in the availability section, you will be able to see three options. I'm going to leave it as default, which is keep this agent online as much as possible. Now the next section here is the node properties, and here you can set the environment variables if you want on your slave node, for example Java home or Maven home or any environment variable which you want, you can set it from here on your slave. And the next option here is the tool location, and this tool location, for example, if you want to set the default Git location of your slave here, you can set it from here, but I will leave both of them as default, okay, which is unchecked. And then I'm going to just click on the save button, and you will be able to see this option, and it says the agent is offline. Some message will be displayed here, and when you click on the nodes option here, you will see this new node is created, but it's offline, and you will be able to see this big cross symbol in red, which means your agent is still offline. So to make it online, you just need to click on this slave agent which you have created, and then click on the launch agent button. I'm going to just click on the launch agent button, which is going to connect to my machine, and you can see the authentication is successful here. And I will scroll down a little, and it's doing some work, and it says agent successfully connected and online. So at the end, if you see this message which says agent successfully connected and online, that means this agent is working fine and it's online. So once again, I'm going to click on this nodes option, and now you will be able to see this red cross is gone, and this agent is now online. Now one important thing to note here is you need to have Java 8 or more installed on your slave machine. So make sure that Java version 8 or more is installed on your slave, otherwise it will fail complaining about Java version or something if you have the older version of Java. So once your slave agent is online, we are going to see how we can create a Jenkins job and use this slave agent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new Jenkins job, and I'm going to just say test slave 1, for example, and this will be a freestyle project, and I'm going to just say okay, and this Jenkins job is created. For now, I'm going to just leave everything as default. I'm not going to give any description here, but when you scroll down, you just need to choose this option which says restrict where this project can be run. So this is important. You just need to choose this option in order to select the name of your slave agent. Okay, so your slave agent name is Ubuntu 164 agent. In my case, this is the slave agent name, and I can also see the label name. Okay, so you can either give the label name of your slave agent, or you can give the actual name of your slave agent. I'm going to choose the second option here, which is the slave agent name. Okay, and then I will scroll down, and for now I will just execute a simple shell command here on the slave agent, and I'm going to just say echo, and then I will just say this message is executed on slave node. So I will just execute this message in my Jenkins build, and I'm going to save this. And for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my slave, and I'm going to just go to the Jenkins location, which is this location which I have set, where all the files related to Jenkins are saved. And you can see slave.jar is already saved here when we have tried to connect to this slave, right? And there is a JDK directory also. So now when I just build this job, so now my job is building, and I'm going to go and see the console log here, and you can see everything is successful, and this build was successful. And now once again, I'm going to go to my slave and do ls once again, and you can see workspace directory is created when I have executed this build here, and inside the workspace there will be my job name, which is test slave 1. You can see the name of my Jenkins job is test slave 1, and on my slave node inside the Jenkins directory which I have given inside the workspace, this job name is also created there. So that means everything is working fine, and this job is executed on the slave machine and not on my master machine, which is where my Jenkins is actually running, right? So everything is executed on the slave machine now. So this is how you can create a slave node using Jenkins, and you can connect to the slave node in Jenkins. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In the last video, we have seen how we can create a slave agent in Jenkins and launch this slave agent via SSH. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how we can create a slave agent and launch this slave agent via a method called Java Web Start. Now in the last video, we have seen how to create a Linux slave agent. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a Windows slave agent. So let's get started. Now, before starting and before launching our slave agent via Java Web Start, we need to do some settings. And I'm going to show you how to do these settings. So first of all, go to the Manage Jenkins section. And once the Manage Jenkins section is open, go to Configure System Settings. So just click on Configure System. And once the Configure System settings are open, you just need to scroll down until you find this section which says Jenkins location. Now by default, this Jenkins URL is set to http://localhost port 8080. And you will see this small warning here also, which says please set a valid host name instead of localhost. So if you have the host name for your Jenkins server, then you can give this host name here. Otherwise, we will give the local IP address of this server instead of the local host. Okay, so to know the local IP address, I'm going to just open the terminal and I'm going to just write if config command and then press enter, which is going to give me the local IP address, which is this one. So I'm going to replace this local host by this IP address. Okay, so if you have the host name for your Jenkins server, you can write the host name here. If you have the IP address of your Jenkins server, just write the IP address here instead of localhost. And this is important for this particular step to launch your slave agent via Java Web Start. And now I'm going to save my configurations. And once the configurations are saved, now we are ready to create our new slave node. So once again, I'm going to go to the Manage Jenkins section and I'm going to choose the section called Manage Nodes. And you can see our master node is there, and the second node is this node, which is Ubuntu, which we have created in the last video, which is offline right now because my slave is not running right now. So that's why it's offline. So let's create a new node. So I'm going to just click on the new node option, and here I'm going to give the name of my node. I'm going to just give the name Windows 8 because the slave is running on the Windows 8 operating system. So I'm going to just give the name Windows 8 underscore agent. Okay, and then you can just choose this option which says permanent agent. If you want to copy the existing node, then you can also choose the option which is called copy existing node. But right now we don't have any Windows agent. That's why I have just chosen this option which says permanent agent. And now I'm going to just click on OK, and you will see this section here. So most of the options which are shown here we have discussed in the last video. So I'm going to go through all of them one by one really fast. So the name is Windows 8 agent. Description, whatever you want, you can describe here. Number of executors, we will take number of executors as 2, which means that this Windows agent will be able to run 2 parallel jobs. And then we need to provide the remote root directory, and this will be the directory where all of your Jenkins related file will be saved on your Windows slave agent. So I already have created a directory inside my C folder on my Windows slave agent, and I'm going to just copy this path from my Windows slave agent and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, and the label, we already know what is label from the last video, so I'm going to just give this label here, which is Windows. You are free to give any other label which you wish to provide here. Usage, I'm going to just leave it as default, which is use this node as much as possible. And you will be able to see this option, which is launch agent via Java web start. Okay, so if you don't see this option, which is launch agent via web start, you just need to go to the settings once again. So this is when you don't see this option, which is launch agent via web start. You just need to go to your dashboard and once again go to manage Jenkins and then go to configure global security, and inside the configure global security options you just need to scroll down until you find the agents section. So this is the agents section, and by default this is disabled. Okay, so what you need to do is you just need to choose the random option here. Otherwise, if you want to provide the fixed port here, you can just choose this option, which is fixed, and then you can just give any port which you want to use. Okay, but I prefer using the random port, so I'm going to just choose this option, and I will suggest you to choose this option here, and then only you will see this option in your node creation, which is launch agent via web start. Okay, so if this option is disabled, you will not see the option in your launch method. So I'm going to just save these settings, and then once you see this method, you just need to choose this method from here and then leave everything as default. And the availability, I'm going to just leave it as default also, which is keep this agent online as much as possible. And the environment variables and tool location we have discussed in the last video, I'm going to leave them as default, which is unchecked, and I'm going to save all the settings. And you can see Windows 8 agent is created, and right now it's offline. So I'm going to just click on this option, and this text says connect agent to Jenkins via one of these two methods. So there are two methods you can use to connect to your Windows agent. One is open this URL on your Windows agent and then click on this button, which is going to connect to your Jenkins server. Otherwise, the second option is you just need to copy this command and run it onto your Windows agent terminal. So we are going to choose the second option, and we are going to run this command onto our Windows terminal. So to open this Jenkins server on the Windows slave, I can just use this IP address until Windows 8 agent, which is also this address, but you need to replace this localhost by the IP address of your Jenkins slave or the host name of your Jenkins slave. Okay, so I'm going to copy this address until Windows 8 agent like this, and I'm going to open the browser on my Windows slave agent. So this is the browser which is running on my Windows slave agent, and I'm going to just paste this URL there, which is going to open this Jenkins web page on your Windows slave agent. Right now, before using this command, we need to save this agent.jar file, which you can download from this link. So you just need to click on this agent.jar link. I will suggest you to just save this agent.jar on your Jenkins folder wherever you have created your Jenkins folder for saving all the Jenkins related files. So I'm going to save it here, which I have provided as the root directory for my slave also. Okay, so let me save this file. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the terminal on my Windows slave agent. So I have opened this terminal on my Windows slave agent, and first of all I will cd into this folder where I want to save all my Jenkins related files, which is c:/Jenkins. So once I'm into this folder where my agent.jar is there, I'm going to just copy this command, which I can see on my Windows slave using the Jenkins IP address. Okay, so I'm going to just copy this command. Make sure that this is not localhost, this is the host name or the IP address of your Jenkins machine. So I'm going to just copy this whole command and paste it into my Windows terminal and then press enter, and this is going to run this agent. And once you see this info which says connected, then your Windows slave is connected to your Jenkins server. So make sure you see this connected message, and then you can directly go to your Jenkins master server, which is this one. And I'm going to open the nodes here. So you can see we have created this node right now. So I'm going to go to the nodes, and you will see this cross symbol is removed from the Windows 8 agent. That means this agent is now online, which is Windows 8 agent. So let's use this agent to create a Jenkins job. So I'm going to go to the home folder and I'm going to create a new job, and let's say this will be my Windows test 1, and then I'm going to choose the freestyle project and I'm going to just click OK, which is going to create this job. And once this job is created, in the general settings I will leave description as default, which is blank, and then I'm going to scroll down a little and I'm going to choose this option which says restrict where this project can run, and this time I'm going to use the label which I have given to my Windows slave agent, which is Windows. So this is the label. You can also choose the agent name directly, which is Windows 8 agent, but this time I'm going to choose this one, which is Windows label. Okay, so I have chosen this Windows label here, and then I will scroll down. I will script everything. I just want to test whether this slave is running or not. So under the build section, I'm going to just choose this option which says execute Windows batch command. So just choose this option which says execute Windows batch command, because we are running this Jenkins job on our Windows operating system. Okay, and then I think Windows understand the echo command. So I'm going to just write echo. This command will run on your Windows slave. So I'm going to just execute this command on my Windows slave. And if you want to see in which directory we are working in, we can use the cd command. Cd command is same as pwd command in your Linux operating system. So this will print the present working directory on your Windows operating system. So now I'm going to save this job, and once the job is created, I'm going to just build this job, which is going to start building the job. And I will just go to the console output of this job, and you will be able to see the output of the cd command. You can see the cd command is executed, and the cd command output is this one. So we have chosen c:/Jenkins as our root directory. So this is the root directory, and then Jenkins will create a workspace directory inside your root directory, and then you will see your Jenkins job name, which is Windows test 1 in our case. You can see here also. And the next command we have executed is echo and whatever text we have written here, which is also executed successfully. So it has echoed this sentence, and then at last we can see the success message. That means our Jenkins job is built successfully. And on your Windows slave, you can also see that there will be a remoting directory created and there will be a workspace directory created, and inside your workspace directory your Jenkins job name directory will also be created. So you can see Windows test 1 is created, which is same as your Jenkins name. So this is how you can create a Jenkins slave and launch this slave agent via a method called Java Web Start.
Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can parameterize your build in Jenkins. Now, sometimes it is necessary or useful to have builds to take one or more parameters. And Jenkins allow you to parameterize your build so that you can provide one or several parameters at the time of building your job. So let's see how we can do it. So we are going to create a new Jenkins job. So I'm going to just click on a new item, and then I'm going to give the name to my job, which is Parameterized project, and then we are going to choose the freestyle project, and I'm going to click OK here, which is going to create our Jenkins job. So once your job is created, I will leave this description as default, which is blank. And then to parameterize your build, you will see in this general section under the description, there is an option called this project is parameterized. Okay, so you just need to choose this option which says this project is parameterized. Here you can add several type of parameters, for example boolean parameter or choice parameter or credentials parameter, and you can see there are several parameters which you can choose from this list. So we are going to choose, let's say, string parameter for now. And here, let's say at the time of building our job, we want the user to provide the platform on which this Jenkins job is running. So in the first option, which asks us to provide the variable name, we will just provide the platform keyword here, which is the variable name which we will use in our build. And you can also provide the default value of this parameter. Let's say the default value of this parameter is Linux. It's optional, so if you don't provide any default value, it's okay, but if you want, you can provide the default value from here. And also the description is also optional, so if you want to provide the description, you can provide it from here, or you can leave it as default. And there is one more option here which says trim the string. If you check this option, you can see what it does. So strip white spaces from beginning and the end from the string. So we have added one parameter to our Jenkins build, and then I will leave the other sections as default. And in the build section, I'm going to just choose this option which says execute shell. If you are using Windows, you can choose execute Windows batch command from here. And here I'm going to just echo the parameter which is provided by Jenkins to us. So to echo a parameter on Linux, you can use $symbol and then the parameter name, which is in our case, the parameter name is platform. Okay. So just copy this parameter name, and after this $symbol, just write your parameter name. And this is going to just print the value which you will provide for your parameter. So I'm going to save this job, and once the job is saved, I'm going to just execute this build. So now one new thing you will see here is, normally you will see this text as build, but because we have provided some parameters for this build, so it says here build with parameters. Okay, so just click on this job, and on the right hand side you will see here this build requires parameters, and the default value of this variable or parameter platform, we have given Linux here. So let's change this default value. Let's say we want to just give Unix value for our platform variable, and I'm going to just click on this build button, which is going to build our job with that parameter. And I'm going to just go to the console output to see if it's successful or not. So you can see this echo command is executed with the parameter which we have provided, which is Unix. Okay, so this is how you can provide the parameters to your Jenkins build. Now I'm going to go to the configuration once again. So if you have a different operating system, some operating system, for example, if you are using the same echo command on your Windows operating system, you can use these modular symbol in front and the back of your parameters. So on Windows, you need to provide this mod in front and at the end of your parameter, then it will be executed without giving you problems. So this is for Windows. So I'm going to just provide this hash, which is a comment, and I'm going to just write Windows here. So for Windows, you need to use this mod symbol in front and end. And on Mac, I think this dollar will work. If this dollar doesn't work, then we can also use, for example, echo and then a dollar, and in these curly brackets your parameter name, which is platform. So in some operating system, this type of syntax is valid, so you can also use this type of syntax. Now let's choose some more parameters from here. So one parameter we have already provided, which is a string parameter. Let's provide the second parameter, and this parameter will be a choice parameter. So you can choose from a list of the choices which you give here. So the variable name I'm going to give here is choice itself, and here you can give your choices. So for example, A, B, C, D, E, something like this. If you want to choose some other kind of variable name, you can just choose Linux and then Windows or Mac or Unix or any other. So this type of choices you can provide in this choices box one by one on every line. So every line is a choice here. And I'm going to leave this description as default, and let's echo this choice parameter also. So I'm going to just write choice from here, and then I'm going to just save this build. And once again, I'm going to click on build with parameters, and you can see there are two parameters present now. One is the platform parameter, other is the choice parameter. So platform I will leave as Linux, and the choice I will just choose D here. And then I'm going to click on build, which is going to build my job. And then I'm going to go to the console output, and you can see it has echoed Linux first of all, and then echo D is executed, which we have chosen from the choice parameters. So this is how you can parameterize your job or build in Jenkins. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Jenkins CLI, and more specifically, I'm going to show you how you can run your Jenkins job using Jenkins CLI. So let's get started. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click on Manage Jenkins here. And when you scroll down, you will be able to see this option which says Jenkins CLI. So once you are in this Jenkins CLI section, you will be able to see this command which you can use to get help on using Jenkins CLI. Now, when you want to use Jenkins to, for example, build your job or add job to view, or there is a list of command which you can use with Jenkins CLI, you just need to click on the specific command which you want to execute. For example, I want to execute build command. I can just click on this build command, and then this is the command which I can use to build my job with some flags, and the description of these flags are given here. So let's use this Jenkins CLI command to build a Jenkins job. So first of all, you need to download this Jenkins -CLI jar file, and you can download it
by clicking on this Jenkins CLI jar file, and you can save it on your computer first of all. And once this Jenkins CLI jar is downloaded, you can copy this Jenkins CLI jar at the comfortable location, and then use this jar to execute the command which is given here. So let me open the terminal first of all, and I will first of all create a Jenkins directory. So mkdir Jenkins, and I want to move this Jenkins CLI jar file into this directory. So this is in my downloads folder. So I'm going to just write mv, and then I will just move this jar file which I have downloaded from the downloads folder to this Jenkins folder. So I'm going to just give this command, which is going to move this jar file into the Jenkins folder. So I'm going to just cd to the Jenkins folder now, and you can see this Jenkins CLI.jar is there. So now I can use this command to build a job. So let's see what job we can build. So I have this job which is Java Hello World, and let's build this job using the Jenkins CLI. So the job name is Java Hello World. So I'm going to just first of all copy this command up to job, and then I'm going to just paste this command on my terminal. And instead of job, here you just need to give the name of your Jenkins job which you want to build. So the name of the Jenkins job is Java Hello World, which I will provide here, and then press enter. And of course this will fail because our Jenkins require the permission. So right now we are logged in with the admin credentials. That's why we need to give the admin credentials. In case you want to execute your job without the credentials, you can go to manage Jenkins and then go to configure global security. And once you are in the configure global security, there is an option under authentication. We have previously chosen this option, which is role-based strategy, right? So if you want to disable this authentication, you can choose this option which says anyone can do anything, and save this configuration. And once this configuration is saved, this command will work because now we don't need any credentials to run the Jenkins job. So once again, I'm going to give this command, and this time you can see it's successful and it hasn't given any error to us. But you can see this command doesn't give any result. It just executes and then no result is printed. And when you go to the location where your Jenkins job is there on this Jenkins UI, you will see this Jenkins job is executed, but no result is printed here. So for example, you can see I have 5 builds right now, and when I execute this command once again and I will refresh this web page, you will be able to see a 6th build is executed successfully here. So now in case you want to see the output of your build on the terminal itself, what you can do is you can go to this command once again from where you have copied, and you can see there are a bunch of flags you can provide. So the flag -f is going to show you the output of your Jenkins job. So I'm going to just give the -f flag with my command and then press enter, and you can see started Java Hello World build, and you will be able to see here also the 7th build is executed successfully on the Jenkins UI also, and some output is printed here also which says started Java Hello World 7th build, and the build status was successful. Now if you want to see more verbose output, you can use this flag which is -v, and you can see this flag is used with -s. So we will give this flag which is -v with -s and then press enter, and you can see started the build number 8, and you will see all the console output which you see generally on your Jenkins job. So when I just refresh this and I will go to the console output here, so this is the output which you see in the console output. This output will be shown on the terminal also. Same output will be shown here, and once again the build status is successful. Now in order to use this Jenkins CLI command with the authentication, you just need to go to the manage Jenkins section once again, and then go to configure global security, and this time we will enable in authentication the logged in user can do anything. So you need to just choose this option which says logged in user can do anything, and you also need to check this option which says allow anonymous read access. So this is important. You need to check this option and this option as well, which is logged in user can do anything. And then I'm going to save this configuration, and this time with this command. So let me clear the terminal first of all. So I'm going to clear the terminal, and with this command which we have used to build the Java hello world Jenkins job, we will use the username. So I'm going to just write -- user name and space. The username is admin in my case, and then to provide a password you just need to give this flag which is -- password and space your password. So my password here is root, so I'm going to give my password and then press enter, and this is going to start the build. You can see Java hello world 9th build was started, and it's ended successfully. So the build status is success here. So in order to provide the credentials, you just need to use these two flags, which is username, your username, and -- password, your password. So now let me show you one more thing, which is to execute a parameterized Jenkins job using command line. So I'm going to go to my Jenkins home here, and I'm going to choose a project which I have created in the last video, which shows how to use parameters in your Jenkins job, and its name was Parameterized project. Now if you don't know how to create a parameterized Jenkins job, you need to see the last video. So I'm not going to create a new job. I'm just going to use the Jenkins job which I have created earlier. So in this Jenkins job, we have this build with parameters option, and there are two parameters here. One is platform and other is choice. So I'm going to just use this Jenkins job name first of all, and I'm going to go to the terminal, and let me clear the terminal, and I'm going to use the same command, but this time the project name is different. So instead of Java hello world, the project name is Parameterized project, which is this one. And in order to provide the parameters, you need to give the flag which is -p. So at the end just add -p and then your parameter name. So the parameter name I have is first of all platform, and it's better to use double quotes. If you have single word, then you can avoid these double quotes, but I prefer to use these double quotes even if this is a single word string. So here I'm going to just write Linux. Now once again I'm going to just use -p flag for providing the second parameter, and the second parameter is choice here. So I'm going to once again use -p choice, which is the parameter name, and then the parameter value. So for example, I want to just give C here as a choice, and then I'm going to just press enter, which is going to execute this job. You can see the job is executed, and you can see it has echoed the Linux keyword and the C letter, and the build was successful. So this is how you can provide the parameters to your Jenkins job using Jenkins CLI. So this is how you can use Jenkins CLI to execute your Jenkins build. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Jenkins tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can create a multi-branch pipeline project in Jenkins. So first of all, what is a multi-branch pipeline project?
So the multi-branch pipeline project type enables you to implement different Jenkins files for the different branches of your project. Now, generally in the software teams, which is working on a project, different developers can work on different features. So let's say our team is working on a project called My App, and we have a few developers in this team, and master branch is generally the final product, right, which is going to be run in the production. Now, when the developers work on some features, they generally create a branch out of this Git repository. So for example, here, when you click on branches option here, I have one branch which is feature one. So in a normal software project, whenever some developer works on some feature, he creates a branch, and when this feature is implemented, he or she merges this feature into the master branch. Now at the time when this feature is going on and the developer is working on, how can he test this feature using Jenkins as well as the master branch? So multi-branch pipeline project allows us to test all the branches of your project at the same time using Jenkins. So let's create a multi-branch pipeline project in Jenkins, and then we will see how it works. So just click on a new item here, and then give any name to your Jenkins project. For example, multi-pipeline project, and then scroll down and you will be able to see this option, which is multi-branch pipeline. So select this option and then click OK. So my multi-branch pipeline project is created, and here you can give some description about your project, and in the branch source you can give the URL of your GitHub project. So here you can just click on add source and click on Git, and then just copy the URL of your GitHub repository by just clicking on clone or download, and then copy this URL from here and then paste it here where it says project repository. I don't need to provide any credentials because this project is publicly available, but if you want to add your credentials, you can add it from here. And then in the next section you will see behaviors, and there is this option which is automatically enabled, which is discover branches. So your Jenkins job is going to automatically discover your branches and then run your test on all the branches. Now it's important to notice here is I have this Jenkins file here in my project, right? So make sure that this Jenkins file is there. We have already seen how we can add this Jenkins file to our GitHub project in the previous video. So I'm not going to tell you how to do this, but make sure that your project have this Jenkins file. And then when you scroll down, you will be able to see this section which says build configuration. And in the mode, you will be able to see only one option here, which is Jenkins file, and you need to provide the path of your Jenkins file here. And because my Jenkins file is on the root directory, so I don't need to change the path of this Jenkins file, right? Now when you scroll down more, you will be able to see scan multi-branch pipeline trigger, and for now we only have one trigger, which is periodically if not otherwise run. So when you check on this checkbox, you can run the scan on your project every minute or every 2 minutes or every this time period which is given in the list. Okay, so for example, I can just set it to every 5 minutes. Then Jenkins will scan your project every 5 minutes, and it will just look whether your project have any extra branch or not, and if you have committed any changes, then it will run the test on every branch of your GitHub project. Now rest of the thing I will leave them as default because we don't need to use them for now. So orphan item strategy we will not be using, and then health metrics, we can just click on this and you can see there is one health metrics which is child item with worst
health. Pipeline libraries, we don't have any pipeline libraries, so we are going to leave this as default. And then the pipeline model definition, we also don't have any model definition, so I'm going to leave it as default. So what we have given here in the configuration, the URL of our project, and make sure that you have the Jenkins file in your GitHub project. So just choose or leave it as default, which is Jenkins file, and then click on save button. And as soon as you press the save button, you will see a scan will start on your multi-branch project. And this scan is scanning the branches in your GitHub project. And you will be able to see two tasks which are parallelly running here. One on the master branch, you can see one on the master branch is running, and other scan task is running on the feature branch. And the same branches are available in my GitHub project also. So I have feature 1 branch and the master branch. That's why there are two tasks running to scan them. And when I click on my project here, you will be able to see two jobs here which are running. One is the master branch job and other is the feature branch job. And you can individually click on every job. So I'm going to click on the master job here, and you can see this job is going on, and you will be able to see the stages of this job which are currently running. So this job is successful, you can see, and we can also go to the feature branch job also, and you can see it's also successfully tested. So that's why both of them showing the success. Now let me show you how you can create a new branch in Git and push it to your GitHub project, and how this trigger works. So I'm going to open the terminal first of all, and then I'm going to cd to my project. So I'm going to just cd to my project in which I'm working on. I have already checked out my project here. Now to view all the branches in your project, you can give this command, git branch, and then press enter, and it's going to show you all the branches in your project. So I have two branches right now in my project. One is master and other is feature 1. So let's create one new branch. So in order to create a new branch, you just need to give this command, git branch, and your branch name. So let's say I'm going to create a feature branch 2 here. So I'm going to write feature 2 and then press enter. And now we are going to list all the branches once again. And now you can see there are 3 branches in my project. So one is master branch and other 2 are feature branches. Now in order to push this branch to your GitHub repository, you can give this command, git push origin, and then your branch name. So my branch name is feature 2, and then press enter. And you can see this branch is now pushed to our GitHub repository. So we can verify it by going to our GitHub repository and then refreshing this web page. And I'm going to once again click on branches, and you can see our new branch is visible here, which is feature 2. Okay. So now once we have the new branch, we can trigger them with some web hooks like Jira or Gitbucket. But right now we don't have any webhook. So we are going to just press on this button which says scan multi-branch pipeline now. So I'm going to just click on this, and then I'm going to scroll down a little, and you can see there is a new task running here which is for the feature branch 2. And when I refresh this web page, so I'm going to refresh this Jenkins web page, and now you can see this feature branch 2 Jenkins task is running, right? So when I click on this feature branch 2, this build is running, and you can see all the tasks are here running, and the build is successful now. So now you have 3 branches, and you can see the result of 3 branches in your Jenkins repository. So this is how you can create a multi-branch pipeline project in Jenkins. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and bye for now.